right, welcome to Rambling Achieved. And today, Brandon is back. Thank you very much for joining me, Brandon.
Appreciate you for having me, ma'am.
And what a time to be hopping on. We've obviously let this sit a little bit, which I think is always the for me personally the best thing to do when you're about to give like opinions on stuff like this. I get why you have to obviously tap it while it's hot, which is why media do it. But you see like things sprinkle in after the fact because when the big news dropped, you obviously have people then doom and glooming to the max, and then stuff trickles out a little bit. So it's good to sit and think about it a little bit. I don't know if you feel the same way.
Yeah, I mean, I think that, I think there's something fun about, I like speculation. And I know that a lot of people think that, speculation, it's like you create expectations for yourself and then you're let down. And I get that argument, but I never really do that. Like, I speculate about worst possible, best possible because I think it's fun as a listener of content.
Mm.
If I'm being completely honest, one of my main focuses is like if I'm really interested in something and I can spin it up in a way that I think others would be interested in, I'll present it. And then if I don't have anything, like to be completely real, the Jez Corden, the interview that he did with Windows Central, interviewing Asha Sharma and Matt Booty, I was trying to find angles of like how to cover this that would be interesting on the channel, and I couldn't find anything. Like, I don't even think it's necessarily a bad interview. Maybe we can get into that a little bit. I don't know if you saw the Blessing clip from Kind of Funny where he kind of took shots at Jez Corden, saying it
Yeah, I
was
was
pretty
gonna
much
tap
like a
into that in the. We got something about the bitterness for online discourse, which we'll be
hmm,
touching upon stuff like that because that's not the first fucking stray that he caught this week, Mister
yeah,
Jez. Um, so yeah, so we'll be going through obviously the recent uh, departure of the two big names at Xbox, and then going through. I want to just talk about because this is just talking about the generation as well as a whole, about all the big three, and just seeing where we feel they are at this moment, and trying to shed light that I don't think it's perfect at anywhere. Like they're just Xbox is definitely in the dirt, but I think they're all struggling to some degree of their own, which I'd like to talk about. Then, like I said, bitterness for online discourse. Um, Talking about the competitive nature of releases as well. I think we spoke about that in the Discord at some point, which I did want to hit your uh, hit your brain on.
absolutely.
Yeah, tons of stuff to talk about. But yeah, to kick it off, obviously, the big news is that out of nowhere, I don't know, just randomly like, okay, well, Phil's retiring, and then because when I saw that, I was like, okay, yeah. At first, like I looked at him and was like, that doesn't like 100% shock me. But then seeing the Sarah Bond thing, I was like, what the fuck? I was like, oh, maybe it is dying as a brand. At first, like that first knee jerk reaction is like, wow, is the offices on fire? And then obviously, like I said, it's why it's good. Why I personally think it's good to sit and just let like things play out and then hear it from what's actually happened, rather than going solely based off of headlines and stuff. Because there were people thinking that, oh well, it's shutting down and stuff like that, and I don't think that's obviously the case.
I
Um,
don't know. That's the funny thing, right? Is like I don't even think we're necessarily at a better spot now in terms of information than we were when it first broke. Because I think that like I have some positive takeaways from the things that Asha Sharma is saying, the new CEO of Microsoft Gaming, but like then she'll double back and contradict herself in the next statement
mhm.
almost every single time. It'll be like, we care about the health of this platform. And then the next sentence is, we're going to reach gamers wherever they are. And it's like, okay, well, you don't care about the health of the platform, then you care about the health of the business and the publishing arm. Like those are different things. But I think that I wonder if she is just being thrown into this because of her ability to scale businesses.
Mm.
And she's being thrown into this kind of not last minute per se, but within the last couple months. And is like, dude, it's going to take me some time to figure out what the hell we need to do to fix this.
Well, the thing that had me thinking that it wasn't immediate, because you have some people that are saying that they've scrambled and got her in like as if it's this week. Like she had no interest in Xbox, and the account was founded in like January, I believe. So it feels like this has been bubbling for maybe a few weeks that they were thinking, we're butting heads here, and they've probably planned on axing Sarah Bond in that time period, is what I would imagine. And you're trying to get her up to speed, but it's kind of difficult trying to get someone up to speed who has no real knowledge and care and
Yeah.
interest and passion about gaming. So there's a lot that she has to catch up to. But like you said, her expertise is she was previously AI, but also she has like a really good track record of building companies as well on
Uh,
the side, which I
Like
don't
a
think many people are shedding light on really at all. I remember you pointing that
yeah.
out to me, and I did a little bit of looking, and it's like got a pretty good resume for building stuff up successfully as well, not like failing. So
Yeah, like very, very successfully. Like took Porch to $1 billion valuation, I believe. She when she was like 17, she founded her own company and then sold it. And then obviously she went on to Meta and did scaled that business, worked at a leadership role at Home Depot and then OpenAI. And like she's client like that I can understand that argument of she doesn't stick around long. She climbs the ranks, does what she's told to do by higher ups, and then gets out of Dodge. Like, could that be the Seamus Blackley thing of coming in here? Satya Nadella is saying, "Hey, we need an executioner. We need someone to come in, kill this thing, and get out." And then be the I don't know. Is she just climbing the ranks through Microsoft as a corporation and Xbox is one of the steps along the way? Like there's so many. It's gonna be months and months and months. I think by the June showcase, we should have some idea
mm,
of what the future of Xbox is, but maybe not even then. This might be a long-term thing of Xbox remains as is, untouched, going with their games everywhere, and then they do a pivot before next gen if they still launch next gen. Like all of these things I think are up in the air right now. I don't think they have any concrete like foundation that they're standing on.
no, the only thing that I will say that makes me think she's not come in as an executioner is that you don't usually appoint somebody brand new to do that. Really, like if you're killing a brand, you're not. Matt Booty could have been put there because he's already in the space as it were and stuff, and you just shuffle and then just kill it, kind of thing, and just be like, well, we tried, kind of thing. You don't really usually bring in new blood to kill a product. Um, that's where I kind of don't think, and also with the fact of you have so much money invested in contracts and stuff with all these different companies that you're pulling components for. Like you'd have contract clauses that you have to break, shitloads of money and that kind of thing. It would be you give it one last go, and then you just don't renew these contracts for whatever next thing is, kind of thing.
Mhm.
Um,
I think that's most
so
likely as well.
yeah,
I think the most likely outcome is that they launch the next gen thing, and if it doesn't succeed, they never launch another one.
yep.
But
Which would be the smart
also,
thing to do as a business. Like it would be so bad for their image to cut contracts and stuff like that, like cold, and screw them over and stuff like that, and just it just makes them look bad as a company. Like you just roll it out, and if it flops, then you bow out gracefully, in air quotes.
mm, yeah, I tend to agree. But I also wonder, y- could it be a scenario of them saying, "Look, R&D on this thing, the pricing right now that we would have to put this at to sell it to a smaller audience, is anyone going to buy it? The price we would have to put it at to sell it to a larger audience, like, are we going to really take a $700 loss per? You know what I mean? If they want to sell it to a mainstream audience and they are going to do this really expensive, beefy PC hybrid thing that should charge, you would think probably $1,400, $1,100, somewhere in that range, 1,100, 1,000 to 1,500, somewhere in that range would be to break even, maybe even more to break even. They might even be taking a loss at that price point. But just saying, if that's the range they're looking at and they're going, oh, well, dude, no one's going to buy this. And then if we put it at $700, then we're going to be taking a loss on it for the entire generation. Um, like it, yeah, it's just super interesting times because all we can really do is sit here and predict, which I love that. I think that's super fun.
Yeah, and it seems to be Always the way with them. It's, you don't really feel that with Nintendo. You're not sitting there predicting what they're doing. You're like, yeah, they're kind of getting on with their thing, and the same with
Yeah.
PlayStation. Even PlayStation is struggling a little bit, tiny, but like you know that there's going to be a PS7, there's going to be a PS8 at this point. Um, with how they're
Well,
handling things,
yeah.
maybe you disagree.
I I think we're closer to the streaming straight to our TV future. I think there probably still will be a boutique offering of PlayStation consoles, probably for PlayStation 7, probably you'll still have like a mainstream console. PlayStation 8 is when I'm like, ooh, because by PlayStation 8, you're talking about PlayStation 6 will go from 2028 to let's probably 2038. It'll probably be 10-year generations because we're looking
Mm.
at close to a 10-year generation now. And then, so if you're saying PlayStation 7, I don't know. I think by the time we get to like PlayStation 8, that might be when we're just streaming straight to our TV, at least for all single player games. And maybe you do buy the box for the multiplayer stuff.
It is interesting because you obviously think there's been massive changes in the industry, but there's something that has stayed the constant is there's always hardware to play it on.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
It's just how it changed how you consume the software and stuff like that. So that's why I kind of think for PlayStation and Nintendo specifically, I think they're just hardware through and through until literally there's going to be no hardware at all across the board for anything, and everything's just beamed into your head and then streamed here and streamed there. Um,
You want me to give you my hot take? I, I think that PlayStation is in a better position than Nintendo in terms of when people are talking about the um like the future of the console space or whatever.
mhm.
I genuinely think PlayStation well, I mean at any point Nintendo can pivot, but I think that PlayStation, if Xbox isn't competitive, then PlayStation just gets to be forever and always the third party console. Like are you kidding me? That's wonderful. What a luxury. We just are always going to dominate and every third party game is going to be sold over here. If you have the choice, if that's like your main prerogative, if you want to play The Witcher 4, if you want to play Grand Theft Auto 6, like yeah, we'll just pick up a PlayStation to do it. It's like I I do because if we are going into a world where like the Switch 2, I I, I don't want to predict this too early because I'm going to end up looking foolish. They need to announce something yesterday about what the hell is happening in 2026. You 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 gotta have games to sell this thing, guys.
Yeah, I think what Duskbloods is rumored to be coming out this year, supposedly.
Yeah,
But to be fair, that's still up in the air because I think Elden Ring was meant to launch last year and it got pushed because I think we spoke about it, or I know I mentioned it at some point. Dude, they had it set up. I think it was in Gamescom or whatever the thing was in Germany. You could play a build of it, and it was dreadful how it ran on the Switch.
Borderlands 4 just got canceled or delayed indefinitely for the Switch 2.
So yeah, it's tough because what I keep in mind for the Switch as well, that it's got like a double-edged sword. It's great that like these cartridges load fast for games that aren't demanding. What they're running into the issue is you're getting these keycard things, and it's great that these games are launching on the Switch 2 now, but it's like a clash of identity. Like there's a lot of people that don't like that change. They don't like not owning the actual full-on cart thing. Like that's part of their identity. They kind of had this issue when they were switching from the other Nintendo products when they were still on cartridge and people were moving on to discs and stuff like that.
Oh yeah.
And that's my prediction is that we're kind of back there in a way. Like it's not to that extremity, but it can get to that point if they're going to be stubborn and be like, no, this is what we want. We want carts and stuff like that. Their next Nintendo console should probably look to embrace more modern physicality in its software, because you think of like that with Borderlands 4 and stuff like that. You're Nintendo, you are the couch co-op guys, and that's one of the biggest couch co-op games still in existence, and you're not tapping into that market. It's kind of a
Well,
big loss, man.
as well, like, I don't know how much of a big deal the key card thing actually is. Obviously the Nintendo base really likes their physical support,
Hmm.
but to Nintendo's credit specifically, the first party support for their physical launches are excellent. Like they're
Yeah.
completely on the card and all of that. And there's not a lot you can really do to convince third party publishers to put the full game on the card. Like CDPR went out of their way to do it
No,
and
that's
were
exactly. You would
rewarded.
need specialized, because you had Final Fantasy VII remake just launch, right, and that was a key card. And it's because they even broke it down. They were saying, look, it can't. It's
Can't,
not
yeah,
fast enough.
fit.
It doesn't matter if they put the limit all the way up. Like, it doesn't read the data fast enough in the way that we built the game, and that's what they're going to be looking at with third party games. In Because this has only just come out. They stagger their releases, and that's great in a way. It's also a double edged sword, because then you're playing catch up, and then with these third party games that are going to keep growing and growing and growing, it's very tough to then have it be on that cart in the way that it is, and that's why they'll have to probably opt for key cards. Um, but yeah, so
And
I don't think they're in a terrible spot, but that's something that should probably be kept in mind. It does feel like a little bit flirting with deja vu with cartridges from the past struggling.
I think their biggest issue is like, I think that, okay, if Xbox is really going to go away, if that is going to be like, let's say the console business goes away after next gen launches or whatever, at that point, if I'm Nintendo, I'm looking at doing a handheld and a console.
Mm,
And like actually having developers be able to push that thing and put the best games in the world, maybe not necessarily the best games in the world, but the highest performing games in the world, the most graphically intensive games in the world, putting those on Nintendo without real compromise and without real like you sh it, I'm not saying the position that Nintendo is in right now is great if they can keep it up with their first party software. You'll continue to sell the hardware if the first party software is great, but like
mhm.
you got to keep that cadence up, and Metroid Prime 4 just isn't that can't be your holiday game, man.
Yeah, I mean, it was a wake up call for them. The thing is, there was other Metroid games that bombed really badly as well.
All of
So
them.
this isn't like the first time. So I remember Yahtzee covering one of them, and it was like dreadful. One of
Well, it's
whatever it
not even the
was.
quality. The games never sell.
No, but that is a testament also kind of to the quality, because if they were a must play, really, when we're being 100% brutally honest, then people would be buying them. They just don't seem to. People just don't care. And
Yeah.
like you said, that can't be a holiday game. Then you can have it on your roster, have it as a July game, have it as a February game, but it can't be something that is meant to be there to tap into them holiday sales. Unfortunately.
Yeah, exactly. It's the like you said, they're all in really interesting positions because whenever I saw the holiday report that PS5 was ahead of Switch 2 in Switch 2's first year on the market, I was like, yo, that's cause for real concern. And I'm like looking in and I'm like, well, yeah, I mean, Mario Kart comes out, launches with the system, Donkey Kong is out the next month, and then it's just nothing. It's vacant from that point on in terms of must buy software, like you were saying. So got to get that because I mean, you look at 2017, Switch 1 launches with Odyssey, Tears of the Kingdom, and then you go right into 2018 with Smash Brothers as your holiday game, and you're talking big years back to back. And this isn't, once again, I'm not talking about quantity. I'm talking about like must play titles that captured the zeitgeist. And I'm like, what do you have in store for 2026 that's going to do that? Here's the one thing I will say. You can't doubt Nintendo.
No, 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 no. Of course not. What I'm actually thinking, do you reckon they just wasn't past the information that GTA was going to get delayed because it's not releasing on this? So they're not in like that circle of no's, if that makes sense. Like they're not fed that information like Sony would be because it's going onto their platform. And
So
then they
they just
find out and they're
decided
like,
to,
oh, damn. And they're kind of having to be like, oh, well, we can take that spot towards the end of the year because it's not going to be there. And kind of that's why they kind of seem to be no massive game, but they threw that there instead,
yeah,
perhaps.
I'm not really sure. I really don't know. I think that Metroid Prime 4 just had to come out. And yeah, I honestly don't know. But
Because
listen,
wouldn't it have made sense to have Mario Kart and then have Donkey Kong as that holiday release? I know it would have been a long gap between for the system thing, but that would have surely helped move units rather than Metroid.
unless you really thought Metroid was that game, you
Yeah,
know,
could be.
and that would be a even bigger problem if you thought that that was like, you know, if you thought that was really the stuff. And you kind of, once again, you look at Mario Kart World as a game that a lot of people would view as a drop off from the previous title. Yeah, man. These things are, if patterns are to be like, if you're able to indicate anything about future software based off of this year, it's like, are they about to fall into a little bit of a slip? Are they kind of like, you know, you would even look at PlayStation as beginning to slip a little bit with their software, relying on kind of safe sequels and games that might not necessarily perform as well as their initial, like the initial launch of Spider-Man 1. Spider-Man 2, I don't think performed quite as well, which, to be fair, Spider-Man 2018 launched at the end of the console generation, and Spider-Man 2 launched kind of in the middle, so there's less PlayStation 5s, but sold a little bit softer. Yote sold a little bit stronger than Tsushima, but it's not, it's kind of right there neck and neck. It's not breaking out into a totally different realm. Um, and so PlayStation's feeling either very safe or too risky right now, you know, going way crazy into the live service direction, or here's just more of what you've been eating for 10 years.
I because you're much more tapped into. When did Herman Holst get appointed?
Think that would have been 2023, if I'm not mistaken.
And these live service titles that were written down were before him, right? Because I see a lot of people giving him shit for the live service stuff, and that doesn't make sense to me. That look, you got to understand, 3 years, right?
That's
Is what that is
concepting. Yeah.
exactly. So from this to that, like you've just been handed the shitstorm, basically, and you coming in as a head, you can't then go with a hammer and smash all these things down because these things have been set up. That's the direction. You have to see if it plays out and then you make changes. So I've seen people call in for him to have his job axed. And it's like,
See,
look, I think you kind of need to give, if they're a CEO of the company, you need to give them at least one entire generation, personally, because that's enough time to pick up whatever the mess is, deal with it, and then instill your own vision, and then you can begin to see that vision come to fruition.
I think the only issue I have with that is like, it was a Herman Holst decision to kill Blue Point. That was under Herman Holst.
Mm-hmm.
Or I'm not saying it was his decision entirely,
No,
of
it's under
course. You
his
get,
leadership. That's
yeah.
happened under his watch. Yep.
And if you don't have the ability for, like, if you don't have the vision to understand how beneficial Blue Point could be to you, and you're killing them because you put them on, not you in terms of Herman, but you in terms of PlayStation, put them on a God of War live service game that didn't pan out. Like, and to be fair, he was head of first party studios when that took place, if I'm not mistaken, when they were put on that game, because that was somewhat recent, if I'm not mistaken.
Well, yeah, because they would have been. It was 2020. Was it 2020 or 2021 when Demon Souls came out?
2020.
So yeah. it would have been under his stuff because obviously you're working on it and then you begin spitballing. It's a weird thing with them as well because there's rumors coming out that they were asking to make this, that, and the other, and then it was their choice to make the live service, is what they pitched. But this is
Which,
the
once again,
you just don't know what's
but
true for one, and for two, like if I was Bluepoint and if it is the thing where you've pitched and it's been denied, 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 and then you hear all around you that it's live service, live service, what are you gonna do? You're gonna pitch a lot because you want to keep your jobs.
exactly,
That's
exactly.
that's the thing. Um,
And
so
you
yeah.
want to, you know, it's not only you want to keep your job, obviously that's first and foremost, but you, as Herman Holst, whoever is the real visionary behind the green lighting and canceling process, whoever even at that leadership position allowed that game to be created. That's where I'm like, yeah, you probably shouldn't be working in this business at that level. It's a team of 70 people, and you're gonna have them create a God of War live service game, the biggest IP you have outside of Spider-Man, but it's not your IP, but the biggest IP you have. You're gonna put a team of 70 people on that live service game whenever Naughty Dog just came out and stated their team of 400 couldn't manage a live service game, that they were worried about that. It's like, dude, 70 people, that I don't think they're going to take the live service God of War game into the future. Obviously you can staff up, but yeah, just bad
No, but
idea from
it's not their
concepting to
specialty as well. Like this is the thing of you saw it with BioWare, with EA pushing them to make Anthem. They don't want to make Anthem. That's not that they don't know how to make Anthem. That's not what they do. They make Mass Effect. They make these single player RPGs and stuff like that. That's why you could see it like straining in Anthem, like trying. Here's the dialogue wheel choices, things that you know from like that's trying to shine through, but it's not. It's not what you want from it, and it's just. I think there's so many people in the higher ups of Sony now, and the higher ups of Microsoft now, that have no idea. Because you saw it with the when they did the Activision Blizzard thing, and all the emails were coming out and stuff like that, and the conversations Phil was having to have with people and having to explain why they can't have a Fortnite. Why can't you make a Fortnite? And it's just like, what the fuck do you mean? Do you mean why I can't? Like we can't? Of course we can't. And it's like you can't explain this to these people because they're not in the space. They don't understand the space. They are just looking at numbers on a sheet. So of course they're just going to be completely oblivious and unaware. So it's just a mess. There's so
yeah.
many people in the space now where you've pushed out the people that were passionate about it and knowledgeable about it and replaced them with number monkeys. And that's all they care about. So this is the reason why you keep seeing them throwing darts at that live service wall, because they're seeing that live services generate shitloads of money. One of these will land, and we can, because they had that taste, that had the blood in the water with Helldivers 2. Like that's the closest thing to like lightning in a bottle that they've had their hand on, and they're like, "Ooh, that's really good. We want more of that." And that's why you're seeing like Horizon get whatever it's getting, that whatever it's called, the
Hunter's
Monster
Gathering,
Hunter
yeah.
World kind of esque thing, and why they were trying to do God of War and fucking The Last of Us and stuff like that. And it's just, it reminds me of when Square went like fully corporate as a way, where they just started throwing shit at a wall, completely alienating a lot of their core fan base. And then they just became a mess of like spider webs of different things. They were just like, well, here's this, here's that, here's this, here's a mobile game, here's that, and it just becomes a complete like inconceivable mess. And that's kind of what I'm worried about with Sony at the moment. Is it's not to that dire of a degree, but if they keep doing this, it's not going to get better. And
I
you're throwing a bone out of like, here's a Wolverine, like And then how long are we gonna have to wait for that next one as you're doing five other projects that nobody, your core fan base, don't want, you know?
I wonder. I actually would assume the reason they're chasing the live service bag so hard is because they worry that we will be in a consoleless future, a future without
Mm,
consoles. And in that world, PlayStation doesn't make money. Like, just being completely real, because they don't, their software, their first party software is not like, they don't have a Call of Duty. They don't have a Fortnite. They don't have a GTA. They don't have an NBA 2K. They have MLB The Show, which is probably the closest thing to it, but they don't have like this reoccurring revenue generator. And I think that in a consoleless future, the only top dogs are going to be those games. Call of Duty, whoever owns that, whoever owns Fortnite, whoever owns, like, and I'm not saying those games, but games like that. You
yeah,
know,
the
whatever
DNA.
the zeitgeist,
Mhm.
yeah, whichever the Zeitgeist service game is that you can stream from your TV and pay directly, because I think that's going to be the change of the future, is that you're not going to be paying Samsung or LG, or like, you're not going to be paying the fucking whoever made the television. I think you're going to be signing in and paying directly to the creator of the game for the skins and for the, whatever microtransaction as you're streaming it through your television. And maybe there's some percentage cut, but I kind of even doubt that. But regardless, I think that PlayStation's looking at, okay, whenever this consoleless future that everyone keeps talking about, they've been talking about it since the PlayStation 3 and it still hasn't happened. But if it is possible that by PS7 in 10 years, whatever, that we are getting closer to that, we need to make sure we have one of those games. And Helldivers isn't that, and like, they, something that Helldivers is close,
No, that's what I
ish,
said. It was
kinda.
it's their first blood in the water. It was
Yeah,
that's the closest that they have to it, and that's alluring enough. Um, but no, yeah, like you said, that would be the way because it's become more and more social as well. So you need to be tapping into that. You know, Call of Duty is just people don't even use it as a game. It's a way to converse. Fortnite is a way to converse. Is a way to just. It's taken the going out and spending time with people physically, and that's how you're spending time with people as well. And you have what's the highest roughly selling exclusive that they've had, like numbers wise? Like
probably Spider-Man by a lot.
by how many though? Like you're talking
I
what
I
30,
wouldn't
40
know.
or lower.
Yeah, yeah, Spider-Man's up there, probably 30 plus million
But that
sold.
is like a one in a million, isn't it? Like
Mm.
that's literally like you're talking that you that can't you have all them other people that are choosing not to buy it. What are they at? Like 120 million users? And for the majority of people, you get like between 5 and 10 million copies sold of
Mhm.
a title. That's 100 plus other people that are choosing just not to buy that. They have no interest in
Mhm.
it potentially. And what they do with that massive amount of players is usually they're the people who are playing Roblox or Fortnite and stuff like that. They've bought your console because it's the popular one. That's also the power. That's I will give that credit. That is the power of an exclusive. Is that it gets the hardcore on board and then gets your brand notoriety to be the one to buy into, even if you're not planning on buying exclusives. It's just the go-to brand, isn't it?
Well, yeah, well, and it's also the theory that I shot out on Discord to you, that where I don't remember what I said, but it was something like, if you win the dad, you win
Yes, that
the
was a really good one.
generation.
I'm glad you brought that
Because
up. I completely forgot about that. That's a really good one.
I do think though, like, if you win the 40-year-old, and I don't mean dad literally, mom, dad, whoever's the hardcore gamer who
Yep.
wants to play the best experience on the in the industry, whichever, like, if you can get a mom or a dad who's hardcore into gaming, and you get them with Horizon, and the mom sees Horizon, the female lead character, and she loves games, and she's like, oh damn, fuck yeah. And then the dad sees God of War. It's a reinvention of God of War about Kratos becoming this older man with the son and trying to become a better man, and so many dads relate to that as you get older, and then you get the console into the home because you want to play that game as the father, as the mother, but then the console's just sitting there in the living room. Of course the kid wants to play too, but the kid wants to play Fortnite, and then you give the kid your credit card to buy skins on Fortnite, and then PlayStation's just like, yes, yes, 30%, 30%, 30%. And then you have a world where, I don't know if you saw this. This is one of the craziest things. I couldn't believe this to be true. PlayStation generated almost more than 10 billion, or slightly less than 10 billion in revenue than Xbox last year. After Xbox went completely third party, after Xbox, this is with Activision Blizzard King on that revenue report for the year. So, like, this console business, and I got to be real, that ain't first party software doing those
No,
numbers.
no,
That
of
is
course not.
Fortnite money.
No, that's all
Fortnite
that
is
Call of
de
Duty
facto.
skin money. That's all of the fucking Minecraft money and stuff like that. It's all of them. And that's what I've tried to highlight in the past, is that like it's great that you can puff your chest that you have so many more console units sold and stuff like that. But like you need the money makers also on there as well, and you need it under your own wing, and that's why we've said they're pushing so aggressively to get one of them themselves. You
Yeah,
know?
but you still make more money by being the premier console than having the premier
Mm,
game, which is crazy. Like, because with you look at Call of Duty as the premier game, or one of the premier games. Last year was a little bit off, but regardless, even if it was through the roof, it's like PlayStation is making money on all of those games,
mm.
on Fortnite, Call of Duty, NBA 2K. It's the de facto place to play all of it because it got into 100 million living rooms. So it's like you're making money hand over fist. And I think that's where they're so scared, because they have created, and we can kind of get into some breaking news if you want. There's even more here that just broke regarding Sony's PC, pulling away from the PC space. Nate the Hate, who very, very reliable leaker, he backed up that same claim. Jason Schreier stated earlier today that Sony is shifting away from their PC strategy, and it wasn't directly his wording. I don't remember exactly what he said, but I could actually pull it up here. Well, it essentially, Jason Schreier stated that their big changes are happening to Sony, to PlayStation's PC initiative. And then Nate the Hate, he backed it up saying Sony is shifting their PC strategy. Absolutely. And says them removing the revenue beyond console from the strategically emphasized indicators in God of War Sons of Sparta not releasing on other platforms, despite it clearly being a so-called experimental game like Lego Horizon. Incredible insiders like Nate Drake stating that it was considered for a multi-platform release initially could indicate a strategy shift when it comes to PC ports. At least for single-player games, a large player base is too important for live service titles. So, kind of talking about the um like the initiative of live service still can go anywhere, be available on all platforms, at least PC, PlayStation, probably even Xbox Switch if they can get it there. Like you're seeing with Marathon for
Mhm.
Xbox. But yeah, so Nathan Drake quoted this right here and said Sony is shifting their PC strategy. Absolutely. So I they do definitely value, like, their console business is everything to them. It makes PlayStation, or PlayStation makes Sony like 60-70% of the revenue generated by Sony is from PlayStation. So they're fearful as shit of losing that, but also one day that's going to happen whether they want it to or not. We are going to be in a consoleless future at some point. Maybe it will be when we're dead, but at some point it'll happen.
Yeah, and we spoke about it before. Why they were obviously exploring these things. It could have been differently if it was generating them shitloads of money and making people then be like, I don't want to wait the year, because that was kind of their go to thing, right? Is that they release their game and then it comes out either a year. When they first were doing it, it would have been several years for some of them titles that were older. Um, and they kind of learned very quickly that people will happily wait that, because it's kind of the thing of like trying to give them a hit to see if they're that addicted to that IP that they don't want to wait that year and will go and buy that piece of hardware. And I don't think that they were seeing a particularly high adoption rate doing that, which is of course what the goal would have been, I suspect, because that was the big difference between Microsoft and PlayStation. Microsoft has a storefront on there, so they kind of have that thing that makes sense why you'd more likely explore that route, whereas Sony didn't have a storefront. There were rumors that they were going to be looking at doing a storefront, but if it was that lucrative, they would have done it by now. If that was actually
Yeah.
in the plan and stuff like that, that would have been executed, because it's not that difficult to kick up a store and just get it running in the most basic form and then build it
Yeah.
from the ground
No.
up. So clearly, it doesn't matter how cheap them ports were and stuff like that, and how much revenue, because it was billions generated. What they care about is their consoles at
Yeah.
the end of the
And I
day. And
think,
if they saw that that was even remotely negatively impacting them, which I think is what they've seen on them reports, they they have no pressure of that's the beauty of them not going with the storefront route. They have no pressure of having to support that. They just go, well, oh well, we did that test, and now it's back to our stuff. They'll keep whatever's already being sold on there, I imagine.
yeah, yeah,
And
for sure. I
then
would think
just,
so.
if you want any of them, you have to come to PlayStation, which I think is the smart move.
Yeah, I agree. And I think also you can't underestimate, like everyone's aware that the Steam machine isn't going to be successful, but like you can't underestimate the Steam machine too, because that's going to launch into, well, I guess the Steam Machine 3, but you know what I mean. You can't underestimate, say, whenever this AI bubble pops, if it does, and prices normalize and RAM and all the shortages are we get that stuff under control. Well, hey, if the Steam Machine 2 launches, like, don't forget, the PlayStation 1 wasn't nearly as successful as the PlayStation 2, right? Like the Xbox original wasn't as successful as the 360. These things can you can run into a serious problem if the Steam Machine 2 launches in 2035 and it launches at $500 and it has all of your games on it. That's a real problem, a real problem. And you don't have to pay for online multiplayer, and you get these Steam sales, and it's open to emulation, and like you know what I mean. The benefits really start adding up, and yeah, I wouldn't doubt they're a little bit. Valve is someone to be scared of, like genuinely. They don't make games, but they have a storefront that is ubiquitous as anything in even in the console space. Valve Steam is becoming genuinely ubiquitous. Where people go to, if you own a PC, you play your games on Steam, and it's just like period.
Yeah, you. There's no one on this earth that buys a PC and goes, "Ooh, the Microsoft store.
All
That's
right.
my home." No, you go to Steam because it is the best storefront on PC, bar none. I love GOG, but you like what people also fail to understand, that they don't have every release either. Like there's stuff that Steam almost works like an exclusivity thing, where they have stuff that you can't get on GOG and stuff like that. Epic's tried to muscle their way in and then do the whole exclusive thing, and that's backfired big time. That offered that you can't do that with a PC. With a marketplace that's been conditioned to have openness and choice and stuff like that, and then lock it down there forcefully, and that's shown that like they're never going to grow. I don't care what people potentially feel about them. It's an okay storefront. It does what it does. It gives you free stuff, but it's never going to grow at all, because Steam is what it is. Until when Gabe goes, and if they do a massive shift up, that's when people will start moving potentially.
Yeah, if
But
they go public.
yeah, until that point, they do all the right things. They look after their customers really well, um, and they've built up. That's the thing as well. They've built up that brand loyalty to the point where even if they completely face planted with that next Steam machine, people are like, oh well, You tried. Like they've not spat in the face of their players at all. So
And I don't think the Steam machine will be that. I don't think it'll be like spitting in the face of their players. I don't think they'll charge. I think they'll charge what they have to, unfortunately, which will be a lot probably, but I don't think
but
that
there's
it's
more
going to be
leeway
like an
to that
egregious.
with Steam. If they were the if you announced $1,000 Xbox or $1,000 Steam machine, the Steam fans will not grumble anywhere near the amount the Xbox fans will, because they'll be like, we trust you, because the trust is still there. Whereas with Xbox, the trust isn't there at all. It doesn't matter if it was an identical thing 1-to-1 and all it had was a logo swap. That trust just isn't there at this point.
Yeah, I to some degree, like definitely in terms of the online opinion, I think that would definitely be true. But I think the Xbox would still end up selling better, which is the weird,
Oh yeah,
like,
because
it's so
you
strange.
have a bigger, I don't know
Well,
the
it would be
word
on
for it.
store shelves and shit.
Well, yeah, it'd be more easily accessible.
Yeah.
You also just have that thing where you've conditioned your players that they expect upgrades. Generation, prices go up and stuff like that. But the goodwill and the reception would be a hell of a lot better towards that Steam machine than it would be the Xbox.
Oh yeah, people love Steam, man.
Mm.
People love, love, love Steam. So yeah, it's I didn't mean to steer the conversation into that direction, but I just that I gotta say I'm kind of surprised by this. Like I guess I shouldn't be, but I am kind of surprised by PlayStation. And I guess we can spin this right back to Xbox if you want to. You obviously steer the direction however you wish, but it's interesting that like back to back, right? You see Asha Sharma with her statement about returning to the roots of
Mm-hmm.
Xbox, and then the next day it's like stories breaking about PlayStation kind of
Because
getting back to their roots.
I think there is something in there where they obviously Sony doesn't know what the hell Microsoft's planning on doing, and Xbox and stuff like that. You have to react to what your competitor does, and even with them being in the dirt, they're still a danger. You can't just be like, yeah,
Fuck
they're
yes.
dead, like
It's
many people
Microsoft.
like to attribute it to. So them probably reading that statement of, because she's not answered any questions and hasn't given anything, but she's also not turned around and said, because there were people like asking, exclusives and this and that, and they're like, yeah, we're listening, we hear you, and that's the thing. It's not shut down. She did.
Exactly.
She didn't turn around
Yes.
and go, look, that this is our vision, we're sticking to it, and stuff like that. Like there is wiggle room there, and this is the thing with Sony as well. This should be the big eye opener that these big companies, they can make 180s. They put their games on PC and they turn around and go, fuck it, and they go and do something
Brother.
else. You had the big push with motion controls, and like all of these, everything in technology can easily be okay. We've tried that, leave it, drop it, and move on, because technology doesn't stand still.
And you know what they haven't tried? Call of Duty exclusive to Xbox. And listen, I know there's contractual obligations to keep it multi-platform for a certain period of time, but that is for a certain period
No,
of time.
exactly
That
that, and that's and the thing that's really damn convenient is that Phil would have been the one who was at the, and you've made that deal with him. He's no longer there, kind of thing. Like you shook his hand, you didn't shake my hand. You have no relationship with Asher, so she can come in and brute force stuff the way that he couldn't, because he has a public image of being the nice guy, and that's the thing that
yes.
was the double-bladed thing. You had things that appealed to the fans with the backwards compatibility and all these things. You did great stuff in that regard. I love your personality, and you seem like a nice person. You're not cutthroat enough to be a CEO. I'm sorry, like I'll
Completely
just say
agree.
it. Like you don't have that dog in you, which is what you need.
Completely agree.
And
Yeah.
that's the thing of, it's weakened the brand, which it has. And I was in support of it for pushing to PC if you're planning on abandoning consoles altogether and just make it a PC.
Right.
Fine. If that's like if you're giving like I don't have any control over your company. If that's what happens, like sure. You have the numbers if you see that there's no way back. But clearly there is if she's completely not shutting down them things like straight away. And stuff that she said, yeah, it's kind of generic as to what she's come out and said in some of the interviews. It's very safe, but she's also said some of the right things that you do want to hear to a way. You obviously do need to wait for them things to come to fruition, but like going back to the
Yeah.
roots, going to it's like cool. Now I need to see the action,
Right.
but this takes time, kind of thing. So
Well,
it's unfortunate that
yeah.
he's lost his job and Sarah lost the job or whatever. But the stuff that like I don't know if you saw like they were talking to people around Xbox, supposedly the people who have like little taps on the inside, and they supposedly didn't enjoy working with her as well, which could
Yeah, I
make
got
sense because if you have a vision that everybody else can see isn't working and you're not willing to move on it, you don't enjoy working for that boss kind of thing. So
that's true.
and you also want to be proud of the brand that you're working with. What something that sprung to mind is I don't think they're going to do this, but do you remember in the early 2000s what the company people wanted to work for? It was Blizzard.
Early. Yeah, true.
Blizzard.
Yeah.
People that everybody in the games industry, whenever you were talking that was in America at least, that was the company. I grew up playing WoW, I grew up playing this and that, and I want to go there and be a part of it, kind of thing. Obviously, it's kind of soured since, but like that's the kind of thing that you want to build. You want to build that. You don't want to resent the people above you. You want to be proud of the product that you're working on, and that's kind of what I feel with. An example I want to give is it Team Asobi who did Astrobot?
Hmm.
They are so proud to be under that PlayStation banner. Like they've
Yeah.
basically made a love letter to PlayStation. And being over on Xbox, like looking at it, it's like that's so awesome to see that. Like I get that they're a massive corporation and stuff like that, and people like to say "f you" to the corporations, and they don't like giving them any like credit whatsoever. But like they're clearly proud of PlayStation's history as they should be. Like they did a love letter to everything, breaking down all the components, all the games and stuff like that. It's like it was an awesome thing to see, and that's kind of like where they pushed out a lot of Major Nelson and stuff like that. It did feel like you began to lose a lot of the good heads in there and the people that actually cared about the product. And I think people kind of just go there for the paycheck now in a way, a little bit. And it's like you kind of need to build that back. Like go back to your roots. Make it a company that people want to work for and are passionate to work for.
Yeah. And I think also like you have to have leadership who believes in the vision too. You know what I mean?
Mm.
Where if you are because there was no direction at Xbox. Like if it was, hey, we're buying your shit, it's staying here. If you don't like it, kick rocks. I mean, that at least that's a vision. Probably a bit brutal, but like at least that's a vision of saying, here's what Xbox is. Xbox is a console. We buy studios to put their games exclusively on our console. And if you want to go the other way, then have that be your vision. Like, but you have to have a vision. It can't be we have a console without games. We have the biggest publisher in the world. We have a bunch of other publishers. We put their games everywhere. We want this console to compete with PlayStation. We want our games to like it. You can't have all of these different things. I think about Xbox in a weird way. As an advocate of fast food restaurants, I think of Xbox like Sonic.
Of course.
I don't know if you I don't know if y'all have Sonic over there. Do you have Sonic over there?
The Hedgehog?
No, okay. So Sonic is a fast food restaurant that its specialty is the ice cream.
Okay.
That's that's fine. I think Game Pass is like ice cream, right? It's a good thing to have for a dessert, but you have to have a main thing. Xbox is in a really weird position where they just made their ice cream $30. That's a problem. Now people are no longer going to Sonic to buy the ice cream because it's too expensive and you don't have any actual good food. So just no one goes there anymore. It's like, okay, if the ice cream was bad, or if the ice cream was priced too highly and the food was good, then okay, fuck it. We don't support the Game Pass thing, but we still go and buy your food, which would be the games, I guess. And it's now it's to the point where it's like you have all of these ancillary things, Play Anywhere and Game Pass and all of these different things, but none of them are like great value. None of them are. It's almost like you're going to Sonic for the ice that they put in the drink, not the ice cream, like the ice that they put in the drink. It's like, dude, this isn't you. Your dessert isn't good. Your entree isn't good. Like everything is kind of crumbling. And then it's like, oh well, at least we have Activision. It's like, well, so you just the plan is to just become Activision. You bought Activision to become Activision. You get a spin-off Activision and Bethesda, ABK and Bethesda, and then kill everything else. Like, what's the move here?
No, and the thing, because this isn't a new thing either, though. Like they've had major identity crises moving into the Xbox One generation, and it's just that felt like when a lot of level-headed people probably left with clashing with that vision or lack thereof. And it's just been replaced by people who just have what it kind of reminds me of is Ubisoft in its current way that it manages will never make a game of the year ever again because
Right.
there's so many people to the point where it doesn't matter if you have Kojima under that umbrella. There would be so many people that are injecting their own vision into it that it would then just become watered down. And it feels like that. You're so big, everybody that had that passion is gone, and then it's just people who are just trying to find ways to keep their job, kind of thing. Like you create your own problem to solve the problem, if that makes sense. Because, like you said, the all of these different ideas they just clash with each other. And it's fine if you want to go a direction. If you want to go PC, yes, Play Anywhere. That's great because you're grabbing all these titles now and they will be available on PC. Cool. But you can't then expect people to be buying into the console space when you're putting Gears on PlayStation. There's no reason for them to buy the console. Gears also didn't sell well, which is also what I want to tap on as well. You need to. The beautiful thing that Sony did is they aged and curated their IPs from before and modernized them forward. Who's the creator of God of War? I know he doesn't like the new direction,
David Jeffy, that's a wild man.
but look, man, I'm gonna be brutal, honest with you, Mr. Jeffy. If they kept it in that original state, God of War wouldn't sell right now. It just wouldn't. It wouldn't be anywhere close to what God of War 2018 was at all. It would not have moved the needle. It would have done probably Demon Souls numbers. And this is the thing: is that I love Gears. The big wake up call, and I would be worried about E-Day now, is that you've put it on the big console and no one gave a shit that it landed there. And that's kind of my worry with Halo as well, because Halo to me, it's a relic from the past. It's great, it's fun, but is it what needs to be brought forward? Like these two IPs didn't really do much, and you've put Gears on PlayStation and it sold woefully bad. No one cared because it's a cover-based shooter from 2007, 2006,
Yeah.
and we've moved mountains since then. And I love Gears, but that's Gears 5 as well. It's just prettier. Like it's
Yeah.
cover-based shooting from 2006. This is the thing. You've not matured your your IPs and stuff like that. That's why I'm going to tip the hat to Fable. Fable seems to be doing that a little bit.
Yes, it
We'll
does.
see. We'll see what happens with the reception of that. Because the only consistent IP that's done fucking incredible for them is Forza Horizon.
Hmm. Because PlayStation doesn't have one.
No one has one. Need for Speed isn't competing. The Crew, please don't make me laugh. Test Drive Unlimited, Solar Crew. Like none of these games capture it. It's your
Right.
one of a kind thing, and that's the kind of like vision. Whoever came up with that, I don't know who penned for the Forza Horizon spin-off. Whoever that head was that pitched that idea.
Mm,
Kudos to you, man.
yeah.
That's really good forward thinking. That is, you caught it at the right time, but like you need to do something like change what Gears is at its core principle. Because if this is just going to be another cover-based shooter, no one's going to care. It doesn't matter how pretty it looks. It doesn't matter what you have going on the screen and stuff like that. It's just going to be a third-person cover-based shooter, and it needs to be more than that.
I I think a big problem with Xbox is they don't f- how to say this. They foster extreme levels of creativity for the smallest games possible. And they don't do that for big games.
No,
Where we're in 2026 and we're still talking about Fable, Forza, Gears, and Halo being the premier games that are going to launch this year, which some of them will be huge. But it is a concern to me that whenever, like, genuinely, Loon, I mean, what was the last big new IP that they funded? I guess maybe Avowed? Kind
see
of in that
that's the thing as
somewhat
well,
big
though.
range.
That's not even.
It's not
I
new,
get that. I
yeah.
get that. That's they own that now, but that's not them either. Like that's not your
Right.
full on in house. They count as it now. Yes, that's by proxy and stuff like that. But like your core teams that have been there since day dot, they've not given you a Ghost of Tsushima. Like you have all these teams over at Sony and stuff like that. Naughty Dog could have just kept making Uncharted. People would have got
Yeah.
sick to death of it by now if they were still making it, and that's why they did the last, and that's why they're moving on to Intergalactic as well, because they know when to get out. They like we've done it, success, success, success. We're confident that we can make that next product be just as successful. We have our faith in that, and if not, we can go back to them because they're success.
Yeah.
That's
Well,
the thing, and you haven't seen that with a lot of their teams at all.
and it's happened to every studio except Santa Monica. Like every other studio that's being funded by PlayStation, you look at Sucker Punch. It went from, you go into Sly and then Infamous, and now we're at Tsushima or Ghost of. You go to Gorilla, and you're talking about you had the pivot from Killzone to Horizon. You go to Insomniac, you add Ratchet into Resistance into Spider-Man, now into Wolverine. You go to Naughty Dog, you go from Crash into Jack into Uncharted into The Last of Us, now into Intergalactic. It's like you have to allow these teams to um show a level of
Spread their
creative
creativity.
agency.
Spread their creativity because you would
Yeah.
you want the extremity, but you want it at the other end of it. You don't want people saying, "I'm sick to death of this." You want them yearning for it to return. That's the beauty, is what Sony's in right now. You have people being like, "Oh, I really want Resistance back," because then that you can let that sit and bubble, and you can end up acting on it. You can turn around and go, "Okay, well, in a few years they greenlight a Resistance game and it comes back." Because there's want for it. You gauge that in opinion. You don't want people sitting there like sick to death that it's still around. Don't let it get to that. Don't let it get to that level, man. Did you have anything else you wanted to touch on the console stuff?
Yeah, I mean, dude, I could go on forever with it. But I do agree with you. You can't let this shit get stagnant
Mm.
because if you do, like, imagine when you saw that Matrix game from the Coalition, right? Like, oh my God, imagine that. Imagine that actually shipping exclusive to Xbox. Like that could have made noise. And I apologize for the camera shakeup. I'm gonna switch it back around. I got to reply to this text I got about work.
Yeah, and that, like you said, and that's the thing of like their most creative and out there things are coming from like Double Fine and stuff like that. I love Double Fine. I love that they still get to flex their creative muscles, but also, again, to be blunt, Double Fine's IPs aren't gonna move. Aren't gonna convince people to adopt into the system. They don't do that. They're creative little, great little gems to have on your system, or to be added into Game Pass if that's your vision and stuff like that. But they're not the type of thing that will convince somebody to go out and be like, I need to play Keeper if it was exclusive and stuff like
Right.
that. It's like, yeah, it's cool. I think they were kind of banking on Hellblade as well a lot more than they probably should have been, and I don't really understand why. I don't know if you feel, but like, yes, it's artistic, yes, it's creative, it appeals to a fan base, but you like the people who criticize that first game. If you're going and you're overseeing its development, you're like, oh, it's probably gonna have the same people who didn't like it at all. I'm not gonna like this one. There's nothing that's changed really. It's just
Yeah.
prettier, and they were kind of banking as if that was gonna move the needle and bigging it up, and they were being like kind of smoke and mirrors about it because they were in the trailers and stuff. It's like, oh look, there's actual like set pieces. Is this gonna be Uncharted-esque?
Right.
Was what people were kind of like,
Yeah.
and it's like, in hindsight, no, of course not. And it's just like, oh my god, man, that's, yeah, it's just banging your head against the wall with them. Sometimes it feels like,
And I
yeah,
mean, a studio that gave you Enslaved and gave you DMC and gave you, a lot of these Heavenly Sword, a lot of these really action-driven,
mm,
like you said, badass set pieces, wow moments, and also delivered really good stories for a lot of those games. Enslaved Odyssey to the West is like excellent. The storytelling is great in Enslaved. Um, and so like I think that studio has a much larger potential ceiling
yeah,
outside of the Hellblade universe.
yeah.
And supposedly they're doing Hellblade 3.
And this is the thing of like, back to just ever so quickly to highlight on like, Phil is too invested in the thing. He's probably looked at that and been like, he could have been. I don't know if he was a fan of Hellblade, because obviously that you have fans of these games. Like he might be like, yeah, man, let's get a third game kind of thing. Which you
Right.
can't be like that with a like you got to look at it and be like, does this warrant a sequel? Did this sell enough? Did this do enough? Did this get the metrics and stuff like that? You know, is it worthy
Eh,
of a sequel? And if it isn't, then no, you need to just not, you need to be afraid, not afraid to say no, and be like, right, we know what you're capable of these other, you're a very versatile studio, you can make very different genres. Go take a stab at something else. What's doing hot right now? Can you do this? Do you reckon you could take a stab at that and go from there?
well, and I mean, as well, dude, like you look at something like Days Gone, right? And Sony, like the game sold well,
Hmm?
but it wasn't critically praised enough for the likes of Sony to continue on with it. And I think that was a mistake. I don't think relying on critics that much should. And I mean, that's like directly from the horse's mouth at Sony Bend. They were
Yeah,
like, they looked at the Metacritic of it and were like, no, that we can't tolerate this level of quality. And that is crazy to me because the game went on to sell like tens of millions of copies, but at least once again going back to the vision of saying we have a bar that we're
that
trying to hit.
shows how successful that they can cut something like that and it not feel like a loss. They
Exactly.
are in such a strong position that they looked at that, what is essentially, because it was around, it didn't break 80, did it? It was in the high 70s, or did it
Might have
break
even
80?
been might have even been low 70s.
Because what I kind of like compartmentalize it into my brain of like a similar thing of like Obsidian with New Vegas and stuff like that. But obviously they were able to continue on, but they would they were like, no, that's not good enough. Slam. slam the door in their
Yeah.
face, and it's just like, dude, Xbox would like chew off an arm to have that game, and
Right.
that shows the difference of the quality, what they're striving for, and the vision and the lack thereof over Xbox is that like I said, I'm sorry if you like Hellblade, that should not be what they're working on next.
Agreed. Hey, would it be cool with you if I pause 1 second, take a phone call?
Yeah, that's
Hop right back on. All right.
alrighty, and we are back after the short break.
Yeah, my apologies, guys. Dumbass work shit, man. I um I record everything with my phone. I don't know if people know that behind the scenes. Like, so the video you're seeing of me is from my phone's camera. Um and so anytime I have like a update or anything, I gotta pause and go grab my phone, anything for work, any text message I need to respond to, any call or whatever. Gotta pause, grab my phone, make the call, set it back up. Yeah, I
Has it ever
probably
screwed
should.
up like a full-on recording before? Like, does it interrupt it recording?
No, no, no. It stays recording. The call just goes on in the background, or the
Mm.
text goes on in the background. But every now and then, like I bet people will notice. I mean, you probably don't notice unless I tell you. But whenever, because now I record everything through my computer, but back in the day, I would record it straight to the phone, and the angles would be all over the place. Like sometimes you'd see like if I had to take a
Just
call, it'll be sideways when I come back, and yeah, it's just. But now with at least with the PC setup, I can see my screen right here and like slightly just okay, that looks about normal. But whenever you're just recording it straight to the phone, I don't have like a monitor set up to where I could
mm,
see how everything looked. But anywho, my bad. Let's hop back into the conversation, man.
yeah, I can't remember where we were at.
I mean, I know we were talking about like quality of release and having a certain quality bar that you're
Ooh,
striving for the
we can
studios.
link that with uh, game releases and the cutthroat competitive nature that we have now. Because
Mm,
you put out a video talking about, I believe, Can is the game that
mm.
you ended up loving. There was something else that dropped. I can't remember. I don't know if you mentioned it, but that like we're seeing now.
Crystal
Like, sorry,
Crystal Theater Vitals.
I think it was that. Yeah,
Yeah,
and
Romeo's a Dead
like
Man, another one.
no, exactly. And these like, I think I was the one that said it. Like, if these came out in 2011, they'd be smashing headlines. Like, they would be
Yes.
dominating people's lists and stuff like that. And you have to check this out. You can't do that anymore because every single time that it's obviously weekends don't have releases on consoles or on Xbox at least. I don't know if PlayStation releases stuff over the weekend, but I know for Xbox nothing drops on Saturday and Sunday. Every other day of the week, you just 20 things just dropping onto the store. It got so bad that with Romeo is Dead as a perfect example, it got buried like 18 games down. So like that game's already going to struggle to sell on Xbox
Yes.
as is. I had to manually search, so I had to know the game existed and manually search it to dig it out. And like that's a problem with the store. I think I've spoken about this before. I really, really do miss the 360's fragmented store layout. On demand being the AAA, arcade being the indie space, and then indie, ironically, being the indie, like the one man
Right.
people that have no experience whatsoever but wanted to make a Minecraft spin-off clone. And I think that's when she turned around and said like go back to the roots. I hope somebody pulled her to the side. Or there's people that have approached her and talked about it and just tried to even just lay the seed that could we possibly get like a store overhaul of something like that, because there is no like realm that I should be loading up the Microsoft Store or the PlayStation Store, because this isn't just exclusive to the Microsoft Store, and having like 5 crappy games taking the place of something that's actually deserving. And I know that you as a company and a business and stuff like that can't be looking at it as like picking and choosing and being like, yeah, your game's not like you want them on there because you want money, but you also need a seal of quality, which is what consoles used to strive for. When they got boxed releases on consoles, you weren't putting crap games on there 9 times out of 10 because you couldn't survive if that like it's expensive to put it on a disc, ship it, and have it become like that. Like towards the end of the 360 generation was when, for a lack of a better, shit games got somehow released on like Right to Hell Retribution and stuff like things that wouldn't have really survived all that much. And we kind of need to go back to that. We need some quality assurance on these storefronts because competitively, it's you need to give these like smaller guys a chance, which are worth buying. Because if someone loads up the store and sees all them crap games, they're not going to give money, and that's planting the seed of, oh well, it's not worth buying games anymore. Like it begins to sprout in people's minds that gaming is dead and all this
Yeah.
doom and gloom kind of thing because the AI slop is the big fucking God. I hate the word slop so bad.
I hate it so much, but it's true for that.
But it is true. Like you've seen it so much since that's begun to take off. There's so many games where it's like, wow, that is genuinely, yep, that thumbnail was generated, and that game is just. You're going about like Nintendo 64 things. It's just the most basic 3D model walking across screen collecting coins and stuff like. Why is this on a console?
And like I don't even mind that it's there. Why is there not a tab where you can like latest and greatest, where
Yeah, that's
every single week
exactly.
or even every day at this point now, you pick out the 10 games that released that day that are like the best that came out, which is crazy that I just said that, but it's to that point now
Yeah,
where every day you could pick at least 5 games to highlight that are not saying great, but at least
that
good.
they are worth considering. They are worth giving a look at
And I
because
mean,
even go on.
you could have one person, you could hire one person for this job, and their job 8 hours every day is to play like an hour of each game, or not even an hour. It wouldn't take you an hour. 30 minutes, you can know if something is straight garbage or not, and then don't recommend it in the latest and greatest tab.
Exactly, tie it to your YouTube channel for fuck's sake. Have
Yeah.
it release a video as well of like being very really quickly edited to make sure to check this out today, make sure to check that out today, and just have it up. And that's the thing, like this, they just don't think like that. It's just not in their mind to be thinking like that. They don't care. It's just it's on there. If someone wants to buy it, they want to buy it. This is the kind of mentality, and it's tragic. It is genuinely tragic because, like you said, you have so many titles now that just get buried, forgotten, and then it wouldn't be so bad if budgets were if this was 2006 and stuff like that, where budgets hadn't blown completely out of proportion, where like yeah, it probably wouldn't be as damaging for them to sell a small amount of copies and still stay afloat, kind of like Piranha Bytes. They just bobbed
Mhm.
up and down in the water for decades, it felt like, and then when things had to have shitloads of copies sold, they sunk immediately. They just couldn't survive in the climate. And it's because you go back to like early 2000s stuff like that. When a game shipped 1 million copies, that was amazing.
Mm.
That was a milestone. That's no longer a milestone. That's the bare minimum that you need to be hitting for a lot of these
That
things.
that's studio closure numbers for some games.
Exactly. If it's a bigger thing, that's exactly what you said. But for like smaller things, was it arc raiders and stuff like that, where it's on a little bit of a tighter budget and stuff like
Yeah.
that. Yeah, it's great when they hit 1 million and stuff like that, and they're doing well. But like we were just talking about Days Gone shutting with really strong sales relatively for what it is, considering it's a zombie game that is competing against another zombie game on a platform that's a critical darling. Yeah,
Yeah.
they do two different things. One's more of an open world sandbox, the other's narrative driven. But like zombies as well as a concept is kind of done and tired. So for all the things stacked against it, come on,
Yeah.
man, Days Gone did fucking amazing. It had no right to be shut.
Well, if I'm not mistaken, the game was greenlit in like 2011 when The Walking Dead was so hot and Sons of Anarchy were so hot, and it was the perfect 2013 game, 2015 game, but 2019, it was rough, but it still sold like
Yeah,
gangbusters. I mean, not like gangbusters, but sold well enough to warrant a sequel, you
no,
know?
exactly. It absolutely should have been, and it's just that's the big worry. And I think there's been some uh like big developers and stuff like that. I think there's a Larian developer that's quite active on Twitter that's like voiced the concern of like it's kind of worrying seeing these things, release and they don't do and they sink. That's not healthy for the industry. If something isn't immediate success, that doesn't bode well for the longevity of the industry because you had on the PS2 and stuff like that stuff where it took a little bit of time to sell, but they were fine. They were able to tread water and stuff, and that's just not the case anymore. And
Yeah.
I don't know what like can be done to fix that. I don't know if there is a way of fixing that. The the scary solution is that they're probably going to look at AI as as a tool of cutting jobs to balance budget. And it's horrible to think about, but there's so many of them where it's like there's the whole I get it, it's a horrible subject to talk about, but they're like, are we gonna shun it so that an entire studio closes or a couple of people lose their jobs? Because what you need to
Right.
understand as well with technology across everything, people used to hand print newspapers for fuck's sake with metal
Yeah.
plates. Then the printing press came out.
Print press. Yeah.
People used to box up consoles that we buy. You happily buy them as they're packed by machines now. Like,
Yeah.
I get it. I do get it. There is a slight difference. It is obviously creative art that is being lost. But it's technology, man. This is how it's always been. Like, you'd have hand drawn stuff with animation that's no longer that. It's computer generated. So,
Yeah. If you can't be open to AI at all, like I if you can't be open to the possibility that it could benefit it, just not even games, but society in a number of different ways. Like if you're not open to that at all, I'm like, yo, you gotta hey, listen, everybody, you can do whatever the fuck you want. I don't really care. It's not like your take on AI is gonna harm our friendship. Like I know people and respect people who are like anti AI to the core. It's like sure, but I'm open to the idea, especially outside of games. Like I think it's really just, and it's not even the thing. Jobs being lost is gonna, that's inevitable. That's gonna suck. But I just think it's going to do a really bad job at anything creative because it's just stealing. But there are certain things where like stealing works well for data, for research, for like there's a lot of examples where AI can just go through a bunch of data. Like the thing, I don't know if you saw the birth rate thing that Asha Sharma, she got a bunch of smoke for saying that AI could possibly help with birth rates. And people were like, ah, the robots are making baby, like thinking it's like, dude, she's saying that AI can go through the fucking data quicker than we can and match the embryo with the correct like if for people trying to already have children there would be easier matches with AI going through the data opposed to humans spending their time going through every single piece of that data to find the correct matches. It's like things like that. Like my best friend is a doctor and he talks all the time about his like things he's hopeful for with AI enhancements in the medical field. there are there no doubt there are spaces that society will improve at large because of AI. Game development, I think in certain areas it will there also. And jobs will be lost. No doubt. That's just fucking like you said, with as we evolve, things are going to come along as technology evolves, as anything evolves, as we evolve, things are going to come along and replace jobs, replace people. And we need to figure out a solution. That's the thing I worry about the most, not to go into a whole different thing, but like if we are looking at an automated world where I don't know, out of the 8 billion people on Earth, 3 billion lose jobs, 2 billion lose jobs, a billion lose jobs, whatever. Like, we got to figure out how to make sure these people aren't blowing their fucking brains out. Like, let's make sure that some form of, I know people hate the universal basic income, but like something needs to be figured out if we do really enter into a automated future where 25-30% of jobs are lost because of automation.
Yeah, exactly. And like you said, with it in relation to game development, I don't think it's going to be very good at creating stories. I don't think it's going to write compelling stories. I will say this though, and I'm sorry if you worked on this, but like I'm playing through Starfield again at the moment. Um, Dude, the side quests in that game are shit. I sat because I wanted to make like I'm giving it a fair shot in that starter city, and I was doing every single quest. There's no inspiration there. A computer could generate that. Go
Dude,
here,
all those
grab
planets and
this,
all that shit.
take it back. That is it. That was every single quest for about 6 hours in that in that starter city. Go here, click that. Go here, collect that, and that's it. Like I know someone's programmed that, but like that's not artistically fulfilling. That's I remember when they were very at the very beginning starting to talk about one of the things that they were going to use for voiceover work is when you have like radio ads and people like getting up in arms that it was going to steal jobs, and like everybody that's ever talked about reading radio ads and stuff like that has it's soulless. There's no passion. It's just you're droning on through pages and pages of stuff, and it's like that's not creatively fulfilling and stuff like. And that's where like the argument kind of counters itself a little bit. Um, Something that because I wanted to, as it is obviously a contentious topic, there are things I would love to see it do as well in the field of gaming. If Microsoft, for an example, they have a problem with breaking into the Asian market, and a big problem that they have is that obviously it's in the native tongue. It's in Japanese, it's in Chinese, it's in all, like whatever it is. Create like a localization tool that works. That would be an incredible use of AI. And I get like it's going to have inconsistency, so that's why you still have a quality assurance team. So it does the heavy lifting and then have somebody come in and make sure that it's not screwed anything up. Go through and proofread it and stuff like that. That would be incredible.
Well, dude, I use AI. I've been doing shorts on YouTube and just started trying them. And I've been using AI through CapCut, I believe is the program. And it generates the captions for me and it highlights the key words. So, like, PlayStation will be highlighted, Xbox, Nintendo. And it'll specifically like make those stand out and pop. But it goes through and it generates everything that I'm saying verbatim. Like, it
Mm.
rarely is off on anything. And so, once again, you're talking about something very, very different there. But even through auto-generated captions, like they have that built into YouTube where it can auto-generate it for you. It doesn't look as good. It's not as poppy and flashy, but it's like it, once again, AI has been around forever in the games industry. It's just generative AI is a very, very different thing, and generative AI produces garbage right now. Right now, we'll see. Maybe 10 years it is replacing
Yeah,
feature
because it's going
films.
to be something that's constantly learning and stuff like that. But yeah, I wouldn't want it to write the narrative of a Rockstar game because I don't
Yeah.
think even if it was pulling from all of the inspirational sources imaginable, there's going to just always be something about a human touch to something that you'd probably be able to tell. It's different, like, there's people who can't tell the difference between videos at the moment for stuff, and it's because it looks realistic. But when you look at it long enough, you are able to see inconsistencies. And I think that inconsistencies are always going to be there because it is a program and it will always mess up something. I don't think it's ever going to put something out that is flawless because it has
No.
so much that it's pulling from, and then cramming it together, there's going to be some overlap of something. Do you know when, like, what I try and keep in mind for it is when we had um, hair physics clipping through clothing and gaming and stuff like that. Just something as simple as that is what I kind of imagine that that's going to be like the ceiling that it reaches, where there's
Yeah.
going to always be that hair clipping through kind of thing. Um,
Yeah.
but yeah, localization tools would be great, even if it's not even just because you have like a auto thing on YouTube, I think that they've started
Hmm.
rolling out,
Yeah.
where what we're doing right now, you could probably opt in and then have it translate it subtitled in Mandarin and stuff like that.
Yep. I got that for all my videos as well. You
And
can watch it in whatever language, I
yeah,
think.
and that's really fucking cool, in my
Yeah.
opinion. Like, you're not gonna go and hire every single person's language and get a translate.
No.
Like, no, that it's just unrealistic. But having that available to them people is a godsend, because otherwise they don't get a lot of media in their language as well.
Exactly.
So,
Exactly. Yeah. It can't just all be doom and gloom. The worry is it's not nearly what's being promised, and that I agree with.
hmm,
These CEOs and C-suite executives, these people who are trying to sell the idea of AI being the future of everything to their investors, it's like in certain fields, yeah, in a lot of others, I don't fucking see it, man. And the creative field is one place I do not see it. I do not see it at all that we're going to be watching movies by 2035, 2040 that are, I mean, they'll have AI uses like that. You will be definitely using AI more in film by 2035, but no. Absolutely not. You're not going to be replacing Brad Pitt with fucking some AI stand-in. That movie will bomb. I think people, even if it is equal quality, I think people do want a human that is actually thinking and breathing and feel something. And like there's something about that. And even with video games where it's removed from the direct live action aspect of it, knowing that someone put down a story or someone, created this line of code or someone like had an
I
artistic vision for the world.
how to phrase this? I know people have kind of soured a lot on like following celebrities, but there still is a follow. Like, people will go and watch, for instance, a Michael Bay film because they like Michael Bay, a
Yeah,
Tarantino
Christopher
film
Nolan.
because
Yeah.
they like Tarantino, Christopher Nolan. There's an attachment to it, and that's just as much as a selling point as other stuff. And the same goes with games as well. When you hear that the game has been written by this person or written by that person, you liked their writing before, so you'll probably like it now. Which an AI is never going to be able to replicate because it's pulling from all of the different things. So that's why it can't write. It can't create consistent creativity. I don't think. Um, so yeah,
I completely agree, man. Yeah, it's I'm very excited for the future of AI in a number of different areas with us as a species, for sure. No doubt. Medical care in specific, like I really, really do hope we have crazy advancements there to the point where you go and walk into a damn clinic and you get scanned head to toe and they can figure out instantly if there's anything bubbling up that might potentially be wrong. And like, you know what I mean? Like just straight up futuristic, Blade Runner style shit where like, I do hope that that's the case and people can live to be 150 and like, that's dope to me. A world like that it is kind of dope to think about the idea of people being healthy for a whole hell of a lot longer and de-aging and like I'm not saying I'm a full believer on a lot of that shit that's out there. A lot of it does sound like just uh, people trying to sell you something is what it often boils down to of how
drink
to
this snake
stay
oil. It's great.
exactly. But if it does become a thing of, oh, cancer detection has
Mm.
improved drastically and all of these things, yeah, man, I can get behind that for sure for the benefit of our species. But I want to watch a Christopher Nolan movie.
No,
I
exactly.
want to play a Dan Houser game. I want to play a Kojima game, you know?
And that it just links with the what I wanted to about the bitterness of online discourse, because I don't know if you called it. Sven Vink was talking about it. He ended up opening his opinions on it towards the end of last year, I believe, just before the Christmas break, and he ended up getting a lot of shit online for giving what I personally think was a fairly level-headed take from him, and he had a lot of other people tagging in that were kind of defending him. I think the Kingdom Come Deliverance head tapped in
He
and was
just left
like,
the studio.
and he was like, guys, you know, let's not attack these people, especially. Like, if Sven Vink, right, he is so full of passion for the industry and he's talking about it in a positive light. Clearly, it's how you use the tool, which is what he was trying to get across. It's how you're going to use it as a developer and stuff like that. And yeah, he just got a lot of shit for it. And I think that's I really wish that wasn't part of the industry. You think back of like if Twitter existed in 2004, how miserable the PS2 generation would have been, because you'd have had all of
Exactly.
these titles that people just ram down your throat like, this is awful, don't waste your time with this, instead of experiencing it yourself and
Yep.
formulating your own opinion. There are so many people that get given a take online and then adopt it as their own take, and it's worrying. It's really fucking worrying. Um, and just it always seems like, even when it's not that, it's just that always has. I feel like as well in the gaming industry right now, it feels like 2010s to 2015s YouTube with beef with people. Why the fuck are we? Why are we attacking like with the Jez Gordon thing? Like, it was so uncalled
Yeah.
for, because when I first read what Chris Avalon wrote, like in response to it,
That was
and I was like,
crazy.
huh, that's a little bit like heavy-handed. But like, my immediate reaction was, oh, he's probably like wrote that and like not realized it's come off as heavy-handed. And then you open the replies, and that fucking guy doubled down, tripled down, quadrupled down. I was like, what did he do to you? Like, did he like
Exactly.
steal your high school girlfriend? Like, what is this level of like? I don't know him personally. Maybe you do, but I don't think Jez. I don't even know the guy. I don't even follow his content really, but he seems like just he reports what he hears. That's his job.
That's
That
his
was it.
job.
That he is the person who people attach to with Xbox, and he just tweeted that I haven't heard anything. I'll let you know, and that was the response. A very aggressive response, and just I was like, okay. And to a lesser extent, if what Mike Ybarra as well, I believe, has gone kind of off the rails a few times, and it's
I don't
just
think I saw this one.
sorry.
I don't think I saw that one.
He's been very very critical on online of certain stuff, and people are not recently. This would have been like a year or two back and stuff like that, and it's
Oh,
just
okay.
like there's just a lot of negativity,
Hmm.
and it's like
I don't I don't mind negativity so much. I think that the jazz thing in particular I find fascinating from a number of different angles. Chris Avalon, like a part of me goes, okay, well, did he write up some report? Because remember when Chris Avalon went through that whole thing and it's like, did Jess Corden write up a report that was like scathing about it and he's holding on to a grudge for like, I don't know. I didn't. I'm not going to go back and do the research because
no,
if I'm
yeah,
being
no, I
honest, I
get you,
don't
because
really give a fuck.
he had accusations via assaults and stuff like that, and then I don't think that amounted to anything. It
Yeah, I think
wasn't,
all that stuff was
yeah.
dropped.
So maybe
Once
he's
again,
like you said, maybe he said something, maybe he reported something, maybe he gave like an opinion on something.
yeah, that's where I would lean. But once again, to be very clear, I
Yeah,
don't know, and I don't know how
no,
that court case was resolved. I have no
mm.
idea. Just to be clear.
But yeah, that I'm glad that you brought that out, because that is the only thing that makes sense. Then like, okay, yeah, sure, you
Yeah.
don't like the guy. He's
Yeah.
that sure, but if it's anything other than that, why?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, that was wild.
he's doing his job. Fuck you. I was like,
The
okay.
the blessing, the thing with blessing was like, I will give blessing a little bit of, all right. So let's get into this.
Is this the kind of funny
That's
thing?
the kind of funny
Yeah.
thing when blessing kind of railed against Jez Corden and Windows Central. Here, yes, I agree with blessing in the fact of like if you're expecting hard-hitting journalism from a site called Windows Central, you know, maybe that's probably not the site that's going to provide you with like hard-hitting journalism. And Jez Corden, he even said, I watched a live stream of Jez Corden recently, because I wanted to hear his take on the Asha Sharma thing and everything. And someone he brought up the Chris Avalon situation about being an Xbox fanboy and being a bit of a
Mm.
shill. And he said directly on that stream where he was like, I think sometimes I do come across as a shill and I want to work on that. That's dope. To me, that's just like, hey, dude, we all have our preferences for. I might be one of the only weirdos on the planet who doesn't have a preference for any. The only preference I have is not PC. I don't care where else I go, Nintendo, Xbox, PlayStation. My if you want to know my honest bias, it's just anti PC. Everything else is
Oh,
like
I know.
I
I've heard the
hate it.
derogatory terms that you've used against the PC lads.
Oh my God, I hate it. I don't have anything against PC players other than, I think that, not to go on this whole thing, I think sometimes PC players think everything should be their way. And it's like, well, other people have different businesses and do business differently. But anywho, it's, to me, the thing with the blessing situation that I was like, yo, was y'all do interviews all the time and they're never hard hitting. You you might have the right message to some degree, but you're probably not the right messenger, my
I
guy.
don't think that I'm gonna say I don't think anybody that's in the industry that's landed a job in any of these outlets have done hard hitting unless you're a solo person that's done it. Where you're fully self funded and you've somehow landed an interview with someone, which doesn't happen because they don't want to be asked hard hitting
Yeah,
questions. They do this in avoidance for a reason. They don't want to answer these questions because then they
there
will be
is no
held accountable to them answers. They want the easy curveballs, and a lot of the time, when you do land the interview and stuff like that, they probably pass them. This is what Jez wants to ask you on a piece of paper. He can ask
yeah.
that. That's how it works in everything. It's why I had the very strong opinion, and I still do. I know like there's technically evidence against like the Kane and Lynch thing, but it's the type of thing of like when you're given something to cover and stuff like you can kind of be a lot less harsh. Like you give it a lot more of a glowing thing than it probably deserves because you're trying to keep relationships with these companies so that you're picked first to cover stuff. You
Well,
get
that's
given
probably
stuff.
the best example is the Kane and Lynch thing. Like the dude, they fired the fucking dude because they wanted to keep the relationship, or he quit, whatever, because they wanted to keep the relationship strong. Square Enix was like demanding that the review score be changed, and GameSpot let that dictate their decision to let Jeff Gerstmann walk. If I'm not mistaken on the exact layout of that or rollout of that, but like, yeah, they IGN has exclusive Romeo is a Dead Man t-shirts right now. Last year they had exclusive Claire Expedition 33 shirts. I bought a hoodie from there. That's a problem.
No, exactly. And this is, but that's, and this isn't just an exclusive thing in gaming. Like you have news outlets. The news is meant to be unbiased in its concept, but you have news outlets that have alignments that push narratives in a very specific way, and it's the same with game reviewers. They, whether it's because they want to scratch the back of the publisher or developer, or if it's because they genuinely like. I can't say for certain. Like, if you gave me Deadly Premonition back in the day, I probably would have given it a fucking score way higher than anybody else because it just speaks to me, kind of thing. And that could potentially be looked at as bad because you're overlooking certain things where I'd obviously bring them up if I was reviewing it, technical difficulties and these hiccups and stuff like that. But I think reviewing stuff is so safe now. There's a reason things just fall 7 to 9 a lot of the time because they don't want to rock the boat, really. Because you don't want to lose your contacts. Because like you said, they're selling merch for fuck's sake with IGN and stuff like that. You wouldn't want to put somebody on it that you're definitely going to prioritize somebody that this would appeal to that will review it, if that makes sense.
Yeah, the review conversation is interesting because like I think why reviews are 7 to 9 is because I think we deemed six as functional. And I think that's a problem. Like, whereas in film, there's not really an aspect of functionality. Like, you're not playing, there's no mechanics, right? So, like, we look at sixes as, yep, it runs from start to finish. It's like, well, I don't know, man. Like, maybe that should be a three. Maybe a five should be something like I don't have a game example on the top of my head, but maybe a five should be something like
So
not.
for me, if I because we've had this conversation before, but if I was to like slam down the hammer of verdict and turn around and be like, what would fall into a 5 out of 10? It would be the Technomancer for me. It is a game that functions from start to finish. It has voice acting. Everything is just okay. Like it appeals to me more. I would personally give it a higher rating. But if you were to look at it critically, like it wouldn't probably deserve to be higher than that. If you were looking at on that kind of level of a scale, like it's not terrible and it's not groundbreaking. It's literally middle of the road. It's what a double A game should be. It does what it needs to do.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Because kind of even to that camp, like maybe Greedfall is a six,
Yeah,
or
because it's an ever so
it's
slightly step up in quality and
yeah.
stuff like that. But it doesn't. There's no way you're gonna argue that it is on the realm of, as much as I punch Skyrim in the back of the head, it's nowhere close to that.
But even I would probably give it like a B, a 7.5. But it's because I think, and I have no association or connections to any fucking body. I don't even get game codes, so it's not, there's no shilling aspect whatsoever. I'm not getting anything out of it. But I think I've been trained like everybody has that a six means functional, and so Greedfall's more than functional. And then so you're like, oh well, it's more than functional. The story's good. The combat's like, all right, pretty good. And you're like then you start creeping up. If my range is just 6 to 10, essentially,
Yeah,
once we get
exactly.
past functionality, then that's kind of a problem.
Yeah, it's just a broken system, and it's why a lot of people clown IGN because there's no range.
Yeah,
Sometimes like a golem will come out and it's like, well, yeah, of course you're gonna kick it because that would be wrong if you were giving that a 6, 7 out of 10. Um, so yeah, yeah, that I would hope that one day that would change, but I don't think it will. I think it's so ingrained now. You have even with the outlet struggling. I think what was it, Eurogamer? I think
mm,
has just said that they're going to be doing even more layoffs and stuff like that. So like
yep.
even scratching the backs, it's clearly not a very lucrative business. Um, I think that kind of outlet style thing, you're going to have maybe one or two permanent positions in 10 years, and then the rest will just be contracted. Because it's just, I don't think it brings in very much money.
And that's
Um,
so heartbreaking, because like I think that was my dream, man. Whenever I was younger, obviously I saw the writing on the wall by the time I started in 2020. But when I was younger, I it's like, dude, let me go work at fucking G4, Giant Bomb, Easy Allies, whatever. Like, I would love to be a part of any of that. And still, like, I would fucking slaughter a village of innocent people to be a part of like a cool, if I could act like kind of funny, honestly. I would love to work at a company like Kind of Funny For sure. You're in person, you're hanging out, you're playing games, you're recording podcasts. Like I love, love, love being around people and having like that kind of in person. There's something fun and like exciting about that. You know what I mean? And it's gone. Like it's just completely fucking gone. And like I would love to start up my own version of that, but I ain't got the funds to do that. And then you look at the options that are available, there are none.
No, you. I think I highlighted it to you. Um, Obviously when Zero Punctuation split from The Escapist,
Yeah.
and then they did Second Wind, and I forwarded you there because they break down their quarterly stuff.
Hmm.
There's not many of them there, and you look at how much money needs to be generated for them to just function as they function, to basically keep doing it as a passion and a hobby, and not as
Yeah.
a corporate shill. Which I don't think he was ever a corporate shill himself. He happily fucking sat there and tore everything to shreds. He didn't really give favorable takes to anything. That was kind of his
Yeah.
charm. But
And
it's you only seem to be able to make it if it's a solo effort now. If you're into like a Luke Stevens and stuff like that. And there, I think, isn't he setting up something? I believe doing a
I don't
showcase,
know.
or am I mixing him up with
Oh
somebody
yeah,
else?
they're doing like a showcase thing. Yeah.
So like, and that's the different spin on like you need to be solo enough, absolutely hammering numbers consistently enough to then maybe extend out a finger and try that next thing. Doing like you said a G4 now is impossible. That
I
just
th
it is impossible. You can't. What are you gonna hire out a fucking office and have 8 people there? Like the only reason Joe Rogan was successful because he was Joe Rogan as well. Like he had his
that's such a
name that
good point.
brought it into that space, and why he fucking exploded in the way that he did because he was a likable character outside of what he was doing, and people just wanted to hear him because he has a great personality. It'd be like if any comedian, if fucking Dave Chappelle set up a podcast, people would sit there and happily tune in.
Well, you bring up Joe Rogan. That's like the perfect kind of to tie this all back together to what we were talking about with Jez Corden, kind of funny, blessing, all that. The reason that you don't have hard hitting journalism is because there's not a Joe Rogan. And I'm not saying Joe Rogan does hard hitting journalism, but I'm saying like the people that go on Rogan's show need him more than he needs them. You know what I mean? So like people when they go on to promote something on Rogan, they know that they're going to get this is going to get millions of views and listens. There's nothing like that in the games media space. IGN interviews might do 10, 20,000, maybe 100,000 views, but there is no like place that you go to for an interview where that interviewer can ask you anything they want because you still need that fucking press. You need the viewership that that person has that they bring in from their audience that you cannot there's nobody like that in the game space.
Yeah, because he has asked hard hitting like to Elon and stuff when Elon was on there. He asked
Oh,
stuff that would
back in
have
the day,
made him uncomfortable, but he answered it because. But you wouldn't get that with. We'll just use Jez as an example. Like you wouldn't be able to sit him down with Asher and then be like, "So console exclusives, are they coming back? Yes or no?" That
because he needs the
question's
access.
conversation never being answered, like
Yeah.
ever.
Yeah, because he needs the access,
Yeah,
whereas Rogan wouldn't. Like
yeah,
someone with a platform of that, Rogan's going to get paid regardless. But Jez is going to get paid for scoops. The only way you get the scoops is to play buddy buddy,
yeah. And
to
you,
be somewhat of a mouthpiece for the PR.
otherwise, he wouldn't be able to associate himself with the brand because you're reliant
Yeah.
upon the brand. This is the thing, and they all are. IGN is reliant upon the brand. All of them. That's just the unfortunate nature of it.
And you know, how I run my shit, how you run your shit, like it's so detached from all of that. And it's like, I've thought about, for sure, I've thought about doing interviews. I've thought about asking for codes from publishers, and I've thought about all of these things to broaden to get more eyeballs onto the channel. But then I think about it and I'm like, if there's some possible fucking way I can just turn this into something that makes me 30 grand a year. I don't give a 20 grand a year. I will eat fucking rice and beans and just live off of the bare minimum to get by to do it what I believe is the right way. Like I would love to create a platform that like I'm not reliant on any connections and I'm still making a living and I can if I get to 100,000 subscribers and or whatever like and there's real money coming in and I'm not dependent upon industry connections, fuck yeah, I'll reach out at that point. Yeah, I'll reach out to interview these people. And if they come on, cool. If not, cool. And when you come, I mean, it might only happen one or two times because yes, if you come on, there's not gonna be this thing of here, you can't ask this, you can't ask that. Well, okay, goodbye. We're not gonna have this interview at all. And like, but the only way you can do that is if you make money elsewhere. Like someone like a Luke Stevens could do that because he is fully funded by YouTube members, super chats, ad revenue. Like none of his shit comes from connections at all. He doesn't even do a lot of reviews.
No, yeah, have to be careful of that. His stuff is very easy to do in principle. Like you sit there and because it's so laid back. You're just sitting there and you're chatting because he did a breakdown of, I don't know if you saw there was somebody put up about GTA 6. Can't remember what article it was, and it was like, let me quickly try and like dig it out from the Discord.
Are you talking about like when he watches videos and just gives like little
Yeah,
comments? Yeah, that shit's crazy. I hate that shit.
and
I just got to be real.
and it's a thing where like that's that's what a lot of his audience just taps into though, and are happy to just sit there and do, like, it's so risk free because it's just commentary on it.
No.
In the same way that, when you're reacting to like the Game Awards and stuff or showcases and stuff like that. And I don't.
Oh, well, hold up. Let me push back real quick on that. But because reacting to the Game Awards or a showcase, it doesn't feel like you're stealing, and not to, I don't know how these people feel about it, but to me, like, I don't know, man. With my
If
little
it's, are
channel,
you
sure, I
saying if
would,
it's somebody's video that they've put up and then he's reacting to it,
yeah,
it feels like, okay, yeah, I could see that, yeah, from that argument.
because they're not getting the revenue
Yeah,
anymore.
I mean, I think he was part of like IGN or whatever, so I think he's gonna be just fine. But
Okay, see, I don't know.
that that's what I was getting at, is like he was talking about it and it was really interesting take and stuff like that. And I think you just have to make do. It's such a brutal competitive space. Everything to do with gaming is like that. I don't think he would be able to get anybody on. I know he is in a position where he would be, but they wouldn't. There's no benefit for them to go onto his platform and do an interview where it was hard hitting and stuff like that. The only way you'd be able to do that is if you're tapping into people who have left the space, because you had that recent, what was it, one of the original Xbox heads came out and was like, gave an interview that kind of was floating around and stuff like that. You'd be able to ask hard hitting questions then, but they have not been in the space for years and years and years. They have
Yeah.
no. It's not going to damage their reputation. It's not going to mess up any potential future jobs and stuff like that. It's yeah. I don't think there is any realistic scenario where you would be able to get any of them onto a podcast, any form of interview, and just get anything that's worthwhile asking and answering about.
Well, but the thing I will give kind of funny credit, they like it. This is such a backhanded compliment, and I'm aware before I even say it. So, but I'm just gonna say it. Like they somehow got unbelievable quotes out of Phil Spencer when he came on without really like Phil Spencer. It wasn't the questions. It wasn't really high quality questions. It was just Phil Spencer just gave them layups of like, yep, exclusive games aren't gonna sell Xbox. It's like he was we lost the worst generation to lose. We're not going to be able to compete in like all of these big quotes. He was just like laying those things up unprompted. And so I don't know, like there is maybe something you can argue about Kind of Funny's aura or the vibe that they give off that makes
Mm,
people feel so comfortable to just lob this shit up. Like the other day when Todd Howard said, "Yeah, I don't think Starfield, we're not going to have a 2.0, and people who don't like Starfield aren't going to like the updates. They're still not going to like Starfield." I'm like, how the fuck do you feel so comfortable just shitting on your game like this? Because that's so outside of like what PR is designed to be. And so I will give Kind of Funny credit for the environment that they establish.
mm.
However, let's be very clear, Blessing. There's not a lot of super hard hitting questions being asked. And I would love to see, because Kind of Funny, like we're talking about with Luke Stevens, Kind of Funny probably could be that only other one who is like to that place of we don't really need you at all. There's a few, Min-Max, Last Stand, there's a few that could maybe be in that space a little bit, but that aren't reliant on access, although a lot of those companies are reliant on access. I mean, Kind
Yeah.
of Funny does sponsored
I was gonna
streams, guys.
say,
Like
I
you,
think it only goes to a certain degree. I think it's why I was giving Joe Rogan the shout out kind of thing, of where like he can make content on anything. He's not locked into gaming. He's not locked in, like that's the difference. They have to rely on the space that they inhabit.
yeah.
They don't
I mean, make no
cover
mistake.
other stuff, sports or whatever. That's the benefit that he has. He can just sit down, talk about something that was viral, get somebody that's related to it, and then boom, there you go, 1 million views plus.
Yeah. Make no mistake. He's the king of media. He's
Mm,
the king of modern media. And like whatever you want to say about Rogan, be damned. He is the king of modern media. Period.
absolutely.
I
Um,
almost wish he was more into games still, because then you could like, oh, get fucking Todd Howard on Rogan. Like, say Rogan got into Skyrim at some point, or back in the day, if he never got off a Quake, have damn, I mean, Lex Friedman. He got really into a lot of open world games, so he got Todd Howard on, and he got Dan Hauser on, and he's interested in the game space. But then Lex Friedman's just not like the he's so kumbaya where no doubt Rogan would ask shit that people wanted to hear. Or see, that's the thing with Rogan though, that motherfucker doesn't care about any of that shit. He might end up just talking about MMA with Todd Howard sitting
yeah,
across from him, and Todd Howard's like, I have nothing to add to this.
yeah. Um, Shane Gillis as well. I don't know. I saw a podcast of him with some other people, and they were talking about games and stuff like that. It would have been cool if that begins to really take off. I don't know if you saw it. There was four of them. They were talking about it, and I don't know any of them other people. The other three people that he was conversing with, I didn't even like. It was just something that popped up in the feed, and I was like, okay, cool. While I was doing something, and just listening to them like talk about Hell Let Loose, Hell Divers, and then Red Dead Redemption 2, and it'd be like he could be somebody that could probably poke some people because he has an interest in it. He also just has no chill. He
He
will
doesn't give a
say what
fuck.
he thinks.
The
Um,
thing, the thing about Shane Gillis though, back to Xbox, he only plays on Xbox.
Oh, does he?
Like
So I did. That's the
that.
thing. I saw like a small snippet of it. I didn't. I don't know like anything about it. It was just cool to listen to his like thoughts on stuff. And
No, but it's back to the point though, like what we're talking about, Xbox dominated America in
mm,
Shane Gillis's like prime youth years. And for people of that age range, like even me, it's just so astonishing to me that like how it would even be possible for this brand to wither away. Because like that is for our generation, for like Shane Gillis is probably 10 years older than me, but for people that are maybe a little bit younger than that, but for people that are like 29, 28 to like 45-ish, dude, Xbox in America is like it's losing relevance, but I mean, it was fucking ubiquitous.
Yeah, Snoop was another one, right? Snoop's on Xbox, I think. He's
Yeah.
been on like record
Yes.
every time like the servers go down. He's on there clowning them on Twitter, which is quite funny.
Yeah.
So right, I guess kind of to close off. Um, I have a big worry of how do you put this? So Avowed comes out, right, and it's very safe, and we're seeing a lot more. It just feels like safe titles in general across the board. There's Avowed has like really cool combat and stuff like that, but it's not really testing anything else. Really, the it's a beautiful looking game. It's just to be expected, I guess is a word. The Outer Worlds 2 as well came out, didn't seem to really set the world alight. I don't know if you feel differently. Like there was people who played it and they were like, yeah, I like that, but it didn't really put Obsidian back on the map. I'm kind of worried that we're in this phase where so many vets of the industry have been let go, or they've gone off, and because you have like obviously with Sandfall being ex Ubisoft, can show like when they're not having to adhere to being kept on a leash, that's what they can unleash themselves. And it's kind of worrying to see all these big brands, because why you see like you'd want. Do you feel excited to know that there's an Avowed 2 coming?
Hell no.
And that's kind of like what I'm tapping on is like you want to be excited for a sequel. You don't want there to be a sequel announced and you're like kind of breathing a sigh of okay, and there to be any negative feeling towards it at all. Because I remember like hearing Mass Effect 3 being announced, and you're like, fuck yes. Like you just can't wait. You couldn't wait for it to come out, and you're everything, any bit of marketing material. I had that feeling with when Dragon Age: The Veilguard was called Dreadwolf when that was first announced, and it was like yes, 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 and then it kind of fizzled out a little bit as time, given how long it was. But like, it feels like a lot of the magic is dissipated a little bit. I don't know how to like describe it. It doesn't feel as special, and I don't know if that's a contributing factor to we've done so much in gaming, both of us, that it's
Yep.
you can't wow us anymore, if that makes sense. We even if you are the most optimistic person, if you've played 500 plus games, it's very difficult to surprise me anymore.
And you and I probably play like 100 games a year, at least like dabbling in and out of shit. Like, it's tough, man.
And I don't know if like, and that's why I'm wondering if that's contributed to them people that made them games special are no longer there,
I don't think that's it.
or
I
if it's just safety nets. It is I don't think there's a better way of explaining it, of like making sure that it's just a safe landed title, like with Avowed going into Avowed 2, the Outer Worlds 2. Because when the Outer Worlds 2 was announced, really enjoyed the Outer Worlds 1, but holy shit, was it tame from Obsidian. Like, what I know of Obsidian is they're so ambitious and they just never execute it. So in my mind, I think you kind of had the similar thing of like when you were acquired by Microsoft, your ambition is finally going to have the budget. You're going to be able to excel and you're going to be able to land on these things. And I'm thinking back to Alpha Protocol and you going way overboard with that opening cinematic with the plane thing and then having to scramble and make, like, I love that as like a passion thing. Yeah, you need someone to rein it in, but surely you still have that drive in you to create really, really just out there things. And it just feels like they've been acquired and they've laid the foundation of stability, but they're kind of just happy in their cozy little house. They've
I
looked at it
think
and
you
are
just,
like, yeah, we don't have to worry about paychecks anymore, is what it feels
yeah,
like.
I think you outlined the problem right there, where it's it's about staying employed. It's not
Mm.
about creating the next great thing. And like, I do think that we're we're at the point, unfortunately, where we're only going to be wowed by like a Grand Theft Auto 6 or a new indie game that's the complete opposite of a Grand Theft Auto 6. Like it's only within those ranges, right? Where it's like the craziest of the crazy of what the fuck can you do with $5 billion in a video game? Or hey, a guy with a guy and a pair of damn scissors and like you know what I mean? It's a one guy working in his basement. How the hell was he able to create this thing? One guy working on this one game for 10 years came up with this crazy idea that we've never seen before
The
and could
perfect
never be executed.
Lucas Pope would be the perfect example of that. The guy who did Return of the Obra Dinn, Papers, Please, and stuff like that.
Hmm.
Of that being like, holy shit, you did this all by yourself, basically. Good job, man.
Yeah, but like that middle space is what I definitely worry about as well. And there's hope there because you see something like Expedition 33 come out, which I guess you would say is double A adjacent, Dispatch double A adjacent. And it's like, okay, well, maybe there is hope that this is kind of building up, but it does feel in the AAA space, the budget's ballooned to such a degree that the publishers start going, okay, here's what you know how to do, keep it within some reasonable budget and just keep making this because we're going to generate 10%, profit off of it. Where it's like, well, fuck, that's a wonderful.
I mean, even then, though, you have, because what I wanted to use an example is Nacon just filed for solvency or whatever it is. Um,
Mhm.
you're talking like people were buzzing about the Robocop game and really happy with what they've done and stuff like that. And even then, like, it's just got to the point where it's so incredibly difficult for double A's that if they don't get the spotlight shone at, like Expedition 33, if that would have just come out and done okay numbers, it'd be the complete opposite of the story that it's in now.
Yeah, you have no chance if you're an eight anymore. Eights don't have a chance.
No.
Period.
And it would have been them being like, damn, we need to go back to the drawing board. Hopefully they had enough in the coffers stored and they could pivot. But man, I'm just worried, like, because like I keep saying it, Piranha Bytes sinking, Nacon having that happen to them. I would be devastated if Spiders goes under. Like they're on the verge of putting out Greedfall 2. I That first build of Greedfall 2 is worrying to me, to the point where it's on the verge of coming out. I'm worried that it's going to have terrible reception and they'll be the next go. And it breaks my heart to know that all of these little cool Euro-based RPG developers, if they don't become Kingdom Come and they don't become The Witcher 3, they're dead in this
Yeah.
industry. It doesn't matter who you were tied to, because you have like, for every successful story of I'm an ex developer here, you have 10 developers that use that and go under. What was it? Highguard was all a bunch like ex Apex Titanfall devs. Didn't mean shit.
Bro, I didn't want to I didn't know how to do this. I wanted to give myself a pat on the back and now you gave me a layup to do so. I fucking called that Tencent funded that. The day that game was announced at the Game Awards, I called that Tencent funded that. It's you smell Tencent on that thing from the placement at the show
Hmm?
to the like everything about it. Even if let's say that Tencent didn't pay for the last spot, which but regardless, Tencent is so involved with the Game Awards that it's like, okay, well, here
It's
you
one of the
go.
major funders, is it not?
Yeah, well, I don't know if it's one of the major funders, but I know it's massively involved with the Game Awards, and it's like a contributing body to the yeah.
Because it made like, because there were people turning around going, well, Jeff Keighley's a gamer. Maybe he like played tons of it and was like really in love with it.
That could also be true,
that
right?
that
It could be
could that
both.
could be true, but like you look at that game and you're like, this is that trailer doesn't inspire confidence to anybody who's been in gaming for 10 years. Like that just looks like, okay, it's another one of these. That's why it was met with such disdain. On top of it being given the fucking closing spot
That was so
of
crazy.
the thing that is like attributed to, compared to like the Oscars of video games. That's not what you close the thing with in a showcase that had KOTOR returning as a thing, as the people who won Game of the Year, their IP pushing. Like, there's so many other things. And yeah.
Control was debuted there, and Control had like gameplay to show off and shit. Like, I could understand if you say, okay, I don't want to go back to back years closing the show with a cinematic, for a game that won't come out for a while, so you don't pick Divinity and you don't pick what was the other one that you just
KOTOR.
mentioned? KOTOR. I like those games won't come out for 2030 or so. So like let's give it to a game that actually will come out soon. Well, Control, nobody knew was gonna pop up there. Like it hadn't been leaked. It was that you had a cool stage presentation. Control could have absolutely closed that show, and it would have been a tip of the cap of like, yeah, you motherfuckers need to acknowledge one of the best studios in the industry and all of their games go under supported. Like that would have been kind of cool. But you gave it to you gave it to Highguard. All right. That's your bed that you're making.
And I will say, because I think we've both been soft on him, because we appreciate the work that he does with the Game Awards and stuff like that. That doesn't do any good to your reputation as to the people that
Fuck
doubt you
no.
and sit there and are like, you are, again, for a lack of a better term, like a shill of the industry, where you play favorites. Because it also, yeah, it's just not it's a really, really poor look for the show. It just it does a lot of damage to the reputation.
Well, it makes you consider that everything, like it makes you go, oh, wait, you are you just selling out like completely? Like, is this what we can expect for the future of the show? Is everything going in this direction of, oh, well, Tencent funded this one, NetEase funded that one, Xbox funded that one, PlayStation funded that. So we got Concord and we got, like, is I don't think that's the direction of the show is going to go, but it's like, it does make you start going, is everything just bought and paid for?
But it's happened. That's it. That has happened. So therefore, everything in the future that you're going to be slightly suspicious about, that's going to be in the back of the mind.
Right.
Anything that he decides to show that looks even remotely to people, that's going to be the immediately thing that they're going to jump to as the conclusion, and they have every right to, because you've done it already. That's the danger of playing with that kind of fire.
Well, what if Tencent puts out a fucking 10 out of 10 game and it's like, if it gets nominated for game of the year, nobody's going to take it seriously. Unless it's just like truly fucking undeniable. But you know what I mean? Like if say they put out a 9 out of 10 game, no one's going to take that shit seriously. I remember the last time Tencent was involved with this shit you showed Highguard. Yeah. I mean, you just raised too many questions. Once again, all of this will be irrelevant by this time next year after we come off of having fucking I don't know, something like who's a studio, Top Dog Studio, that's probably ready to show their next game. Um you have someone like
I can't even
a
think of any. It feels like everything's already out there.
it kind of does,
We're in a
which is
weird
worrying.
we're in a weird thing where things are announced and are in the works and we know that, and it's nothing, nobody's really like sitting still.
Like Eidos Montreal's new game or Final Fantasy, a new
Yeah,
Final Fantasy is like that's the final announcement. It's huge. Eidos Montreal is getting to make something way bigger than they've ever made before. Final Fantasy Part 3, 7 Part 3 looks incredible. And then we're like, oh my God, the Game Awards, the greatest show ever. Gamers, see, that's the thing as well. We have to give ourselves a little flack in this
oh
as
yeah,
well
we're
because
easy to win over. We're fucking we're idiots.
we are
We're
a
like every other fucking the public
yeah.
as a rule of thumb are very, very easy to dangle something shiny and they forget. Because a perfect example of this is the amount of outrage that was happening with Bluepoint, and then that immediately went away when the Phil Spencer thing. Like, that interest just shifts so quickly. Like, they just, people move on to the next thing. So when the next big announcement happens, they just move on.
See, I don't think that's as big of a problem because those are like two individual stories. But I think the problem for me is like whenever today, PlayStation going away from PC and everybody's back like, oh, PlayStation's back. It's like just a week ago they closed one of their best studios. Are you are you fucking kidding me? Like, let's not place just because they're going away from PC does not mean PlayStation is back. Leadership still sucks dick. We need to fix that before we get to, fixing
But you
the
take the W's where you can get them.
right. True,
Because
true.
people treat it like a sports team. It's a perfect way of doing it. You support your brand. A lot of people seem to do that a lot. They live and die by it.
True. And you're not wrong there either. And that's the thing going back to like the smart gamer, the hardcore gamer versus the casual gamer who doesn't know anything, the high IQ gamer. It's like, get the fuck over yourself. All of us we have such incredible either blind spots or we're selective outrage or like we all have it. We all ignore things when it's to our benefit. I'll tell you, I'll tell you straight up. I saw some physical media numbers the other day that I didn't love. Guess who didn't report that? I didn't report that shit at all.
Oh,
But it's we if we're
the
being
hard
honest, we're
hitting
being honest,
questions,
right?
baby.
Right, exactly, right? You don't want that's the thing. You don't want me covering the physical media industry because it's going to be so slanted in pro physical media bias that like you'll never get an objective take. Does it play? I love them so much for what they do of analyzing which games play off the disc, but if you want their industry analysis of the future of how media is going to be consumed in the game space, it's going to be
Uh,
heavily, heavily biased.
yeah, they have blink. I've seen them respond. I like what they do, like you said, but they definitely have blinkers on where they.
For sure.
It's like, yeah, man, hold down the fort, but like, look, numbers don't lie, man. I'm sorry, like, it's it's bleak,
Yeah.
and
It's not going
it's
to be around for another 2 generations, probably.
no, maybe not.
Yeah. It'll be here next generation, but it might not be the following one.
Do you think a
Like
console can
legit.
survive without physical media?
Yeah,
Because a
for
PC
sure.
survives because it's not solely tied down to one thing. Do you think that it can be very
Without a doubt.
successful?
Without a doubt. And I hate to admit that. If you want objective journalism here, without a doubt.
Hard
Yeah.
hitting questions, baby. Give me the job, IGN.
The only thing would be the immediate PR black eye. It would be a nightmare to launch a console without like a detachable disk drive at least. Because it would just you would get so much they want you to own nothing and be happy. Like you would see that on every YouTube thumbnail for months. Um, but then after that initial round of backlash, I think that it would kind of be business as usual. Uh, Let me be clear. You would probably lose that's why they won't do it right now because I think right now you would probably lose about 20% of your audience. They just wouldn't buy it. Maybe even less, 10, 15. But when you're talking about hundreds of millions, that's still 10 million people who doesn't, opt into that and you can't lose that. And also there's just markets who have to have physical media right now because the internet infrastructure is so poor.
Mm. See, that's the thing as well is that you have stuff like Mexico, right?
Hmm.
They were still using like PS2s up until like midway through PS4.
Yeah,
It's
a
still
lot of
fairly popular as like as a as a games console, and that still is the case. And I know Sony's kind of shunned South America and a lot of stuff, um, pricing and just not really caring because they just don't see it as like it doesn't benefit them really. Because not to be rude, but like the money just isn't there,
yeah,
so
the
you're not going to
currency.
prioritize that. So yeah, I don't. I don't think you can probably step up, but they're already flirting with it. What was it? The Pro Is it the Pro that launched without a disc drive, or some one of them launched without a
Yep.
disc drive, and you have to buy it separately?
And I think that's what's going to happen with
Yeah, it's
ah
it's
I don't know actually.
that
Do you
that's a
think that's
good.
what's
I
going to
think you're
happen?
going to say that it's not going to launch with the next console base, and you have to buy it optionally. I
Yeah, for
don't know
PS6.
as well. It
Hmm.
depends. I think that is 100% going to happen if component prices don't settle, because that is the
Yes.
easiest thing to just rip that out and be like, there you go, save yourself $80 or
Totally
whatever.
agree. And that would be a great move. I'd be for that. I'd be pro that to get it into the hands of more people.
Mhm.
Yeah, completely agree.
I
I'd
think that
buy
would
it. I'd buy the
be
$80.
I think that would be the easy thing to do. If things settle, it would definitely be bold to do that if they don't have to do it to cut prices. Um, but like you said, yeah, in 2 generations' time, you're probably looking at a scenario where there isn't physical media in
Yeah.
the way that it
Or
is now, where
mhm.
it's available here, there, and everywhere. Because you see, the thing as well, what people aren't accounting for, the amount of shop closures. I don't know if it's happening. I've seen it in the US. I don't know if it's happening around you particularly, but like over here, yeah, I've mentioned where Game they shut down all their freestanding stores. They moved into they're called Sports Direct. So basically, they're people
Mm,
who sell clothing, sports equipment, and stuff like that, and they're basically
damn.
hanging on for dear life there. They're not like you go to some supermarkets and they have like a tiny wall of games, but these are things like Mind's Eyes is in Asda for like £40 still. Like they don't
Jesus
revise
Christ.
the prices because they don't sell the fucking copies. So
Yeah.
they're just holding them there because if some random person who's extremely casual has no idea about the reception and they go, oh, that looks cool, and goes and buys it and falls prey to it, like it benefits them. But like physical like stores that are in big trouble. Like self-standing stores are struggling and shutting left, right, and center.
Yeah, I think that
GameStop themselves are even struggling, and they're trying to diversify. I think they sell like Pokemon cards there now, right?
yeah, that's like their main business.
That's
Every time I go in there, they're selling fucking Pokemon cards. It's made it to the point where I just buy shit off Best Buy because I don't want to interact with Pokemon
yep.
fans.
And that's because the why I'm bringing that up as well is because there's a person who I've stumbled upon who has like a YouTube channel documenting them owning a store. Um, I think they had originally started as a eBay reseller, and then has moved into that. And they were talking about it, and it's sorry to drone on about this, but I think
Are
it's
you
really
good?
interesting. Is that like he was talking about the profit margins and like what when you have no idea at all, because I you can kind of probably give an educated guess, but like you think of all the physicals that sell shitloads, Switch 2 comes to mind. And he was talking about like you would think that that would be like your biggest money makers and stuff like that. And he's like,
No.
you're buying them for $45. You're getting like $10
Yo,
of profit. Like these
if
margins
that.
are slim. And he said something that is like nobody thinks about this. He said it like you're buying off these distributors, but you're competing with Walmart, Best Buy, and all that. If Walmart one day just decides to go, yeah, Mario Kart $70, $40 now. You've bought it for $45. What do? Are you going to be the store that sticks to its guns and try and makes a
Yeah.
profit? Your outdated pricing, so therefore you're looked at negatively, or do you take the hit? And this is why they're adopting, because he was talking about it. It was like one of the biggest positives he did for his store was adopting Pokemon cards. It's the biggest money maker because it's no risk. Like, yeah, you
Yeah.
have to hire in people who know what Pokemon is, but like, it's a big enough brand where that's not difficult to find people who are passionate about it and know about it. And yeah, crazy
100%.
amounts that
Yeah.
they earn from it,
I
and barely any from low end games. It's really hard to sell them. He was talking about like a lot of the time you're making paper thin profit margins or equal or a loss more likely, and it's just like I love physical as well. Like where are we expecting it to survive? Like
Oh, Amazon.
Amazon's the
Amazon, Best
only
Buy.
yeah, Amazon's the only thing. But like with it being a shrinking way of being sold to people as well, like it's just us, our generation. Like if you speak to an 8-year-old right now, how many 8-year-olds are going out and buying physical copies of
Well,
games?
the only reason I don't like that argument so much is because 8-year-olds don't really value art. And that's why, like, whenever people say, well, 8-year-olds, they don't play single player games, they play Roblox. It's like, well, dude, give them time. Whenever I was younger, I had bad taste too. And then, you grow up and not even to
I
say
mean, even
bad taste, but
14 year
just
olds now, though, I would probably argue don't really adopt physical media.
I don't think you're super hardcore into your hobby. Like, I don't think you really understand who you're going to be in terms of your hobbies and preferences until you're probably, you know, out of college and you're making money. And then it's like, okay, you start beginning to choose what you can buy because you can afford it and you can determine that for yourself. And it's like just I don't think just because someone doesn't come up with physical media that they're because you see the generation now who's like going backwards. It's like the new trend where the I don't know all the generation terms, but like the 17 to 20-year-old, whatever that demographic is, where they're like trying to get away from social media. So they're going to flip phones and they're wearing like the big old Jinko jeans and they're getting away from like the skinny leg jeans and like all these trends where I was wearing slim jeans the other day, and my cousin was like, "Bro, you got the damn, I don't want to say the term, but he's like, you got female jeans on essentially." And I'm like, "This is what my generation wore. Do y'all not wear like slim fit jeans?" He's like, "No," and he's like, "Wearing these fucking big old ass." I'm like, okay, I can't keep up, so I don't try to. But that it is like things go in these cycles where vinyls became super popular a couple like what 10 years ago, something like that. And now
Yeah,
there's like these vinyl stores where new fucking albums from all your favorite pop artists to rap artists to country artists are printing vinyl again. And so like it, it doesn't have to be the industry to stay around. If detachable disk drives are like, I think if that stays around, then the industry of physical media will stay around as well. And it might be stuff like limited run, lost in cult, stuff like that, but it'll be
that's
around as
that's my
long as there's a
worry because I think they're starting to. There's been a bunch of companies as well, like stopping production of disk drives that you buy for the PC and stuff like that. 4K and detachable Blu-ray disc drives and stuff like that. Because when you think about like if a limited run was to pick it up, because what I was thinking about that earlier before we hopped on, like yeah, they would probably be the ones to pick it up, but then you're thinking that means they have to obviously give a cut to whoever it is that they're selling it, whatever that platform is, and stuff like that. It's going to probably get more and more expensive to print them as time
oh, it'll
goes
definitely
on.
be more expensive for sure for us.
So how many people? Because people grumble at the prices at the moment. You could be looking at where it is 100% marketed as like a full retro product to have a disc copy of something, and it'd be double its price that it is now.
Yeah, I
And
mean,
like, how does that? Surely that can't survive as like a way of being a sustainable business. Is
it
my
it'll
worry.
it the only it'll come down to one thing: if detachable disk drives are there or not. If they're not there, it's a wrap. If they're there, it'll be supported. It's a there's so I mean, it's still a multi-billion-dollar business each year. Um, so it'll be supported as long as it can be. Whenever PlayStation and Xbox decide they're not getting enough, if they decide that there's not enough revenue in it for them to continue doing that, supporting physically, because they make much more money from their digital storefronts
Mm,
and they want people to buy digitally.
no,
So whenever
exactly.
they
But that's
decide,
where when that margin shrinks enough to the point where they're able to rip the band-aid off, it's going to be a big shock
Mhm.
for people.
Oh yeah,
Because
I mean
I
it's
I
going in
wonder
that
because what is
direction.
the percentage at roughly at the moment? It was at
So
20,
it's
wasn't it? 30-ish.
you can't really go by that because that's including DLC, that's including
Okay.
microtransactions. So if you look at I think God of War Ragnarok sold 60/40.
Okay.
So if like things of that caliber, big premier titles that are being played by adults, like it's probably about a 60-40 split. Maybe you could maybe say 70-30, but I think that would be the max.
Mhm. Yeah, because that's the thing I'm going to be really interested in keeping an eye on in the launch of the next generation, is seeing like what that breakdown is personally. Because
Once it
obviously
gets 90-10, it's a wrap.
we both obviously very much like physical. It's gotten so difficult. Like you're talking, I think Requiem sold out. I don't know if you saw that, to own
Yeah,
physical
so
copies,
stupid.
and it's like we've gone the complete. Like I get you want to be cautious, but that selling out is crazy
It's
for a game like
ridiculous.
that. Like I get that you don't want to be in 2010's mentality where you have way overhead of stock that you don't chunk through and then you're losing eventually money on it. But Resident Evil is a game that shouldn't be selling physically. There should be
Yeah,
plenty of copies around.
no, I could go into a full rant about why I think that is as well, but we'll save it for a different day. How long we've already been recording for what, 3 hours?
2.5.
2.5. That's not too bad. I don't want to take up too much of your time, but just to be quick,
Yeah.
I think that Capcom looks at their data and they look at Monster Hunter's percentage split for digital versus physical and like their other like Resident Evil's so different. You got to also understand your audiences are not the same audience. Just because you as PlayStation, you as Xbox, you as Capcom sell more physically, digitally for one franchise, that doesn't mean the same for the other. Resident Evil, like that's from 1996, dude. The fan base, and because you got to remember, Monster Hunter Wilds is the game that gained notoriety and popularity to the masses for Monster Hunter. So if you think about it that way, the average Monster Hunter fan became a Monster Hunter fan in 2018. The average Resident Evil fan became a Resident Evil fan in the 90s or maybe 2004. And so it's like that audience still has a preference for physical media because they grew up, like you said, they grew up with it their entire life. They yeah, it's going to sell out if you think that you can print the same amount of copies that you're printing for Monster Hunter.
Yeah. The only thread I'd pull on that is because I know there's a good, not a huge amount, but there are definitely a number of people that have been pushed away by the direction that they've gone with the more modern take on Resident Evil. I know there's people that,
Shit.
sorry,
Don't listen to those fucking idiots.
but
People
they
like
don't make
you.
up obviously the majority, of course. Um, but yeah, and that's maybe that's like what we was talking about, where you have, what's the word for it? You have your own biases and stuff like that. Maybe there's somebody in Capcom that has that bias, like you said, where they look at it favorably towards Monster Hunter and then try and apply that logic across the board,
Yeah.
stuff like that. Because you've had that with Square over the years, where they do that, and yeah, because like I said,
The
Resident Evil should not be a brand new Resident Evil game should be available to purchase in this day and age.
yes.
You should not
If you
be
look
getting people having screenshots of saying, "No, you get it next month."
crazy.
What?
Because if you look at Resident Evil numbers keep fucking climbing. They retained their old audience and built a new one, which is so hard for a franchise. So everybody doing the whole thing of you shouldn't remake Resident Evil 1. It's like, dude, they will sell more copies of a new Resident Evil 1 remake in 24 hours, maybe not 24 hours, in a month than Resident Evil 1 Remake sold in its entire life cycle. And that means 2002, and then the re release in 2015 or 2016, whatever. Dude, that new fan base, continue to feed them what they want because what they want is selling like hotcakes. And I'm the old fan base. So this is me being objective.
Mm. No, because it's something that Square struggled with in the complete opposite direction in many ways. But they also, this is what Capcom needs to also just keep their feet planted in the ground. Don't fucking blow your expectations out of the water as well. Don't be like, it's growing, it's growing, it's growing. Just be happy that it's growing, but don't be turning around going, yeah, this is going to be a 30 million. 25 million. Like, would be great if you could get that way, but I don't. Just be happy with success, man.
Yeah,
Because
dude.
Silent Hill would kill for the numbers Resident Evil gets. And this is something we've talked about it tons and tons of times. Like, there's Silent Hill fans, love them, love their passion, but they sometimes think that they are on equal footing to Resident Evil because they're similar in franchise and genre. But man, the numbers, man.
Numbers don't lie except for 5-0, as Little Wayne once said. No, it's true, dude. It's yeah, it's you cannot think that you're in 1998 or 2000 and like you have to fucking grow. You have to, but like you said, there's a limit to that as well. If you're getting 10% returns and your investors are somewhat happy, like sure, do they want 20%? Yes, but you're a can't say that word. You're not smart if you expect 20% returns every year. 8% is average, dude. 8%. And PlayStation is cutting fucking Blue Point because their returns were 2% over the average. What are we do? Do these shareholders are uh, I'm getting to a point of my words are just
They're
yeah.
strangling the industry in all of the worst ways possible because they're just out
They're
of
rabid
touch.
dogs.
Yeah.
Those shareholders are rabid dogs. And there's only one thing you can do with them. You got to put the fuckers down. Get rid. Anytime I see a company that removes their self that goes private, I'm like, oh, thank God, you saved your life. Because this day and age of shareholders, I don't even know. Like, you cannot continue to. The line can't just go up forever. If
But
you're getting a
yeah, that's what they think though, and that's what they want. And that's the thing that I don't understand is that a lot of these people have like degrees in financing and stuff like that. Like, do they not teach you that there has to be a ceiling on stuff? Is that just not do you finish your course before they go over that? It really baffles me that surely there has to be like understanding that you'll have like peaks, slight dips, and as long as it starts climbing again, that's just normal. That's just market.
yep.
Like you said with
If you
like Capcom, like they're doing really well. I'd be fucking buzzing if I was a shareholder at Capcom. It's like,
if you
damn, cool. These remakes, they haven't really like made us absolutely break the bank, and they're making shitloads of money. Our new IP is doing, not IP, our new entries are doing really well. Pragmata looks like it's going to do pretty well, and that game looks
dude,
fucking weird as shit. Like, I wouldn't have
yeah.
expected it to have like the reception and people were like buzzing to play it. It's just like, you guys are on a hot streak, man. Please don't, please don't go to like Capcom of like 2010 again, of where you just can't stop face planting and you just make the
Well,
dumbest decisions possible. No more Umbrella Corps, please.
and it's like I don't know what you shareholders want, and I swear to God, I'm gonna shut the fuck up. I got to go grab some damn food. But my brain is spiraling into I'm just saying wild shit. But I don't understand how it's possible if you're a shareholder who invested $1 million into a company that's returning you 10% annually, you are making $100,000 a year by sitting on your ass and just letting that company do what they're supposed to do. Why do you need for the next year it to be 120,000?
Because
It's
I bought two yachts.
crazy.
I
Ugh.
had to get that second one, man. Please.
So gross, Loon. So gross.
All right, well, as you said, you need to hop off and get some food. That's 2 hours and 45 minutes of good old rambling. I think we touched upon many different topics, so I'm sure there'll be something that somebody's enjoyed listening to. But thank you, as always, for hopping on and joining me. It's
Thank you
always
for
a
having me,
blast.
brother.
We rarely get to do this anymore, it feels like. Once a month, if that. So
Anytime you want me on, just let me know, brother. I'll hop on any fucking time. Like I was
mm,
saying, if I've said a million times, if I ever hit the lottery, we're gonna be fucking. It's gonna be Loon and Brandon's media company. You're gonna have to fly out to America, and because we're building this shit in person in a big old studio, we're gonna have elaborate fucking production. But nah, you know that anytime you want me on, dude, I will be here for show.
absolutely. And as always, it has been a blast picking your brain about all of these contentious topics that are likely to spark controversy for our completely biased takes, of course, because we're internet shills because we talk about video games like everybody else.
It's crazy.
But yep. Obviously, as always, your comment your channel will be linked in the description down below. So make sure to go check that out if you're not familiar with Brandon somehow. You stumbled upon here before there. Awesome, awesome stuff. And kudos to you as well for like I know you touched upon it earlier, but you going into the short feed and pumping that up because I think that
Shit's
is
so easy.
it. Not only is it easy, it shows like the numbers just show. It's crazy how like effective that is. Like I think YouTube really fucking likes that short content.
You want some behind the scenes? Just I swear to God, I'm getting out of your hair. But I the short video that I did that has like 3,000 views, the first one that I put up made me, I think, 12 cents.
Yeah, no, the fucking the
They don't pay nothing.
no, they don't. Because the same is
But you,
true with like TikTok and stuff like that. I don't know who's like
mm,
the competitive best of them all, but that's what like I think somebody was breaking it down like, oh, this did like 1.4 million, and I got $15. It's like, woo, yeah,
nah,
baby,
man.
that's the money
Yeah.
maker.
You just hope that they click on the full video
Mm.
and watch that. But regardless, like it's just kind of, it takes 2 seconds. I literally fucking, yeah, it takes 2 seconds to do it. So it's not a
Must
big
be a nice
deal.
dopamine hit as well, though. Seeing numbers that high consistently must be nice,
Mm, yeah,
or not.
I don't know. I don't really care about numbers all that much. Like I so okay, here's how I look at it. I love comments. I love reading through comments and talking, shooting the shit with people until it gets to a certain point. Like when a video hits like 10,000 views and beyond, or really 5,000 views and beyond that, it's just impossible to keep up with that shit.
Oh yeah,
But like
I know that. Yeah.
but I mean, you've had a couple videos with me that have gone crazy where it's like you just can't keep up at a certain point. Like you can't reply back to everybody, and it's a bummer you want to, but it's just you can't. But so I love commenting. I love like shooting the shit with the audience. I'll take a full fucking hour out of my day sometimes to write a comment if I'm passionate about what someone else said. Like I love that shit. But when it comes to actual numbers, I don't care until it like that's where it's totally money to me. Like all I think about with viewership is money. I don't give a fuck if because 5,000 views you're not getting paid anything. You know what I mean? When you start getting to like 10,000, it's like, oh, okay, you can make 50, $60 off a single video, maybe even $100 depending on how long the video is. And that's when I start like I I would love for all the videos to get to that range, but whenever you're getting 1,000 views on a video, you're making 7, $8, $10, something like, you know what I mean? So it's not like you're beyond joyous for something to hit 1,000 views. I kind of want that so it keeps climbing that way, and then it can actually make money. But I don't really care about views. I like comments and I like money.
My goalpost
Like,
for success is double figures, baby. Get me to 10 views and I'm there. Whoop whoop.
yeah, I, it's wild though. Like I've been doing these videos where like I just fuck around and spin a wheel, take a quiz, whatever the case may be, and that shit bombs beyond belief. And I'm like, well, motherfucker, people just don't like having fun on the internet anymore. It's like only clicking for chaos now.
It is negativity sells so damn well, and it's so unfortunate because you don't. When you go down that rabbit hole, it's so fucking hard to climb out as well. If you were to do that, I'm not saying like even just you particularly, like anybody. Like once you build that, because then that's your viewer base.
Yep.
It's what they expect. So that if you then pivot back to positivity, it'd be even more disastrous.
Yeah,
So
no doubt. No, I can't do it, man. I love covering the news. I adore covering the news. If I could do that every day, I would, no doubt. And like, if it leans negative, then my video will lean negative, my title will lean negative, my thumbnail, like, but keeping it authentic is so important. Like, if something's really fucking great, shit, yeah. Like, I do kind of want to make a video about this PC thing, PlayStation going away from PC, and I think I would lean kind of negative, or lean kind of positive on that. Yeah, I do think that might be better for the future of PlayStation, and like, you gotta, even with the Xbox thing, whenever Ashish Sharma was kind of teasing exclusives, I was like, yes, I think this is a good direction for you. And so, it's I think it's just about being authentic. Like, if you can't build an audience by being authentic, and if you got to lean into all that shit, then it's like, well, then you just have a job that you hate. It's kind of how I view it. Like, I have a job now that I don't really hate, in my actual job. So why would I trade a job that I don't like? I don't despise my actual job. Why would I trade that for a job that I do despise? So I'm just going to keep doing the shit my way. And if it works, cool. I would love to do this full time my way, but I'm not doing hateful shit.
I think as well, to just close off, I think those that really do lean negatively on it, I don't think they actually like gaming. If I'm being 100%
Facts.
honest, I don't think you can genuinely be a fan of games and talk about every single thing negatively. Because what do you get out? Like, it's a hobby. There has to be something that you're gaining out of it. Like, you can't just gain negativity out of it. Because those
Well,
that like to dogpile on is what I'm like, and spread the negativity of X, Y, and Z title and stuff like that. Like, they're still fans of gaming, but they like live service games probably. So they'll have no trouble dogging on any single player game,
yeah.
and vice versa on that. But like, the person doing it, like, they happily, because one springs to mind, which I'm not gonna name drop, but like, holy shit, man. Is there anything positive about it? Like, why are you here? What do you
That's
get
how
out
I
of
feel.
what do you get out of it? It just, like, you can't be a fan of games. You just like you're doing it for the numbers, and you know that it's easy to talk negatively about stuff. It's crazy.
It's like, how did Skate Story came out last year? Fucking Silly Polybees, Buy Sweet Carol, like nothing in that space even piques your curiosity. Like, so much weird indie stuff is coming out
Mm.
that's actually extremely innovative. Like, you don't even like indie games? What? I get it. Sure, AAA, a lot of that shit is kind of, going into a direction I don't like as well. But the indie space is better than ever. There's more dog shit there, but you can sift through it and find crazy gems all the time.
Mm. No, exactly. So, there you have it. Sift through the shit, and you'll find some crazy gems all the time, guys. Um, give an indie game that you want to shout out quickly to go check out.
Man, I really would like to shout out that Silly Polly Beast game. I don't think anyone played that game, and it is heartbreaking, dude. Like, I was stunned by the storytelling. The gameplay is rough, I won't lie. Drop the difficulty to easy, just play through it for the story. I think it has difficulty settings. I don't quite remember. It's been a little bit, but the story, I'll never forget it. I will never forget that story. The gameplay is unbelievably forgettable, but that story is, I couldn't believe that. I couldn't believe what they had to say with that narrative.
It's crazy because I remember you shout. I did end up actually picking it up, to check it out. So that will be moving up my list.
Yeah.
Um,
If it does have difficulty, just drop it to easy. Well, I mean, maybe you can swap it on. I don't remember really, but um, the gameplay is not incredible, but that story is ridiculously good. And it's not, the gameplay is kind of fun to fuck around with. Like, it's doing some kind of cool things. Like, it's a skateboarding game at times, a 2D shooter, and it's got like, it's doing some shit, but it can be a little bit challenging for no reason. And it's like, the game's not good enough mechanically to be as challenging as it gets at times. But regardless, the story is elite, elite,
hmm.
elite storytelling.
I'll shout out Lone Shark. I don't know if you've seen that.
Yeah, I think
Something
you
that
shouted
I
that out
picked
to me.
up recently. I remember it getting announced, and seeing it. I didn't buy it straight away, and then when I was looking through like sales and stuff, it was obviously on the wish list. I was like, at base, it's like $4. I was like, fuck it, just take a punt. Like, If
Mm,
it's terrible, it's terrible. And like
right.
it's really, really short. I think it has like multiple endings and stuff like that. But it kind of reminded me of like a combination of like the feeling that you get from playing Inscription, but it's just fishing. Like it has like a really, it's literally you can be done with it in 45 minutes. Like it's a really, really short
Nice.
game, but it's really damn interesting. Really
Shit, yeah.
simple, really unnerving with some of the stuff, and it had a quite funny like punchline at the end where they make fun of out of something, which was quite funny. So that yeah, go check that out. It's really cheap, definitely worth it.
I'll have to check that out, man, for
Mm.
sure. Yeah, it's been a light year for me so far in 2026. I mean, there have been like entire weeks that have gone by, not weeks plural, but like an entire week where I didn't play anything. It's just like kind of waiting and like what we got here? Like I got Sly 3 that I'm running, but I don't want to start anything new because Resident Evil's right around the corner and it's like I don't know what to do here. So I'm just kind of fucking around with Sly 3, playing like 30 minutes a day or going a few days without playing at all.
Is it a midnight release for you? Do you
Ooh,
know?
I'll call GameStop because they do those at 9 p.m. So that'll be soon, actually. I'd love to go grab that at
Because
9.
I know it's available 3 hours for me. 2.5 hours now.
Fuck
Be
yeah.
jumping in
I'll,
straight away.
as
Because
soon as we get off here, I'm actually going to call GameStop.
mm,
Yeah,
I'm not gonna
good
lie,
shout.
I wasn't expecting the reviews to be as high. If they were in like the low 80s, I'd have been like, yeah, I'm not in a rush to play it. Like I love these new Resident Evil games, but it would have been like I could probably wait. Hearing it be that high, I was like, damn. All right, clearly this needs to be checked out.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm there for sure. Day one. That Crimson Desert and I don't even know, Loon. WWE 2K26. Like those are really the only games coming out sometime like really, really soon that I'm like within the next month that I'm locked in for. There's probably some other shit
Oh,
that I'm
Crimson
forgetting.
Desert, man. I think I
What you
saw.
thinking? You think it's gonna live up to it?
See, this is the thing, and this will be the last thing we talk about before we hop off. I think it's completely going to be. It's going to be Marmite because people are going to be going in expecting it to be something that it's not, and then there's going to be people going in with tempered expectations or kind of knowing what you're going to be expecting, and they're going to be pleasantly surprised. I have no illusion it's going to have no narrative or
No.
very paper thin narrative, and it doesn't need really the narrative because it's coming from a developer of an MMO. Keep that in mind, where
Exactly.
the entire specialty and their prowess is just making a fun gameplay loop. Because Black Desert Online is one of the more enjoyable loops for an MMO gameplay wise, moment to moment, and that's kind of what I'm just expecting with this. I'm expecting even weaker storytelling than Dragon's Dogma 2,
Oof. Oof.
but
God.
an incredible amount of more systems at play. And I think that's kind of just what they want. They just want something where, because I think they turned around and said, like, what, twice the size of Red Dead? All these things, this isn't going to be a game that you're going to be able to, like, push through the main, because I know this is for you. You like to push through the main story relatively quickly and then maybe fuck around a little bit. I don't think it's gonna be a very, very, very long game, even just
See,
to get to the end of it.
I don't mind long. What am I doing though?
No, but
Am
that's
I
what I mean.
grinding? Am I
Yes,
doing like, yeah, so I'm doing a bunch of
absolutely.
MMO style shit. Ooh, this is GameStop calling me right now, I think. Hold
Ooh,
on.
are we gonna get the information? We shall
Hello.
we shall find out.
Oh, hold on one second. Hello? Hello?
I want to let you know that your pre-order for Resident Evil Requiem is here ready for pickup tomorrow.
Okay, so it's not a 9 o'clock release tonight. It's for tomorrow.
That I'm not sure about. I can go ask my manager real quick.
Okay, yeah, I mean, either way's fine. Do you want to just call me back or?
I can call you back.
All right, perfect. I appreciate it. All right, bye-bye.
Could have been really good free PR for GameStop there.
Maybe.
Yeah, you fumbled it, Stephanie, I think is what your
By
name
the
was.
By the time she calls back, I'll be off here.
Yeah.
So I won't be able to give them the good PR. But
Uh,
yeah. Hey, I mean, at least the thing didn't fucking sell out, and I can go grab the damn copy.
that's
But if it isn't,
that's crazy. They ring you up.
yeah, I
That
fucking love GameStop. I know people hate it.
who knows?
GameStop always, yeah,
Is that like a common thing, or is that a
every
rarity?
time. That's why I knew I don't even have their number saved. I just knew the number because it happens so regularly. Yeah, it's they call me every
There you
single
go.
time to let me know. They usually they I don't know if that's a new manager or anything, but usually the manager, he will like call and be like, dude, come pick it up 9 o'clock tonight. You know, he'll even be like, dude, we ain't got any pre-orders. You come at 9 o'clock tonight, you're gonna be in and out of here in 2 seconds. Because the manager I'm super cool with, and he always laughs because he notices like everybody in the line. I'll sit in my car and just listen to a podcast, let everybody in that line go and pick their shit up, and I'll go in very last. I don't want to deal with none of that shit. But you know what, man? At the same time, Grand Theft Auto 6, I'm getting in the fucking line. I'm getting in the line. I want to be a part of some culture. Like I want to be a part of like something that feels big. You know, I don't want to, because usually like I'll sit in the line for 12 people to go through. Like
Mm.
that's yeah, that's too intimate. You know, I don't really want to spark up these conversations with like intimate conversation with one person. But if there's 100, I remember Red Dead 2, there was probably I don't know about 100, but close to 100 people just wrapped around that fucking store waiting on Red Dead 2. I gotta imagine it's gonna be something close for GTA 6.
It's also something you're incredibly passionate about. So I think it'll be really, from your perspective, interesting to like tap into because there's going to be people in that line that that's the only game they've bought in
All
years,
Gen. Yep.
or potentially picking it up with that for the first time with the console. So it'll be interesting to hear like their takes on stuff
Right.
and stuff like that.
Right. Well, and I imagine like how many people are going to be walking out of that GameStop with a PS5 and GTA 6 or Xbox and GTA 6, and like that's going to be their first time
Yeah.
buying that system for yeah. I'm really really curious, man.
So there we have it. Nice long 3 hour ramble, everybody. Hope you enjoyed. And like I said, make sure to check out Brandon's channel in the description down below. And we will see you next time. Or I will see you next time.
Appreciate you. Appreciate you guys.
See you later.